North? On the west side.
No, that's got to be one of those bargain basement sales for somebody to do it. The East Ranch? Oh, yeah. Oh, at 500 acres. Like I said. And they're wanting 10,000 an acre almost. No, not anybody crazy enough to want to pay that kind of money for. There's no write-off on a ranch. Yeah, but they have it because they don't waste it. That would be wasting it. At 11,000 an acre, that's for ranch land. That just sounds too high. But no, I don't have anybody that I could. Yeah, Joe. Oh, yeah. Okay. That's right. He'll probably fly in his helicopter and to go look at it. Okay.
Oh, Charles called or emailed me last night. I read this morning. I responded. He asked about.
Let me have it over here now.
Okay. He asked about mail the Bible.
Good morning. We would like to welcome you this morning to the Drainage District Board of Directors meeting for today, October the 16th, 2012. Can I have your attention, please? Present are Commissioner Palacios, Precinct 2, and Palacios, Precinct 4, and myself. We have a quorum. Is there anything under open forum?
Monica, did anybody sign up?
No, sir.
All right. On our consent agenda, any concerns?
No concerns, Judge.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 4.
Item 4A, requesting approval to advertise RFB number 12-017-1112, Hidalgo County Drain District Number 1, Edinburg Effluent Line Wastewater Treatment Plant, WWTP Road Crossing. Judge, Commissioners, this, we have an existing interlocal between the City of Edinburg, Hidalgo County, and Hidalgo County Drainage District, in which we're assisting in the installation of a discharge line, which is a storm sewer line. At this time, we're requesting authorization to advertise. It's based on a reimbursable between the City of Edinburg and ourselves for all costs.
Move for approval.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Item B, presentation of scoring grid of the firm evaluated through the district's pool of real estate appraisals and surveyors for the purpose of ranking by Hidalgo County Drainage Number 1 Board of Directors in connection with appraisal services for Edinburg Effluent Line Wastewater Treatment Plant, WWTP. The two firms are Leonel Garza and Associates and George Jaime Salazar, DBA Appraisal House. Scoring for Leonel Garza is a 90, and for George Jaime is a 70. And we requested the precinct's authorization, and they advised us to go ahead and do the ranking on this one, Commissioner.
Move for approval.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Item C, pursuant to the board's approval, requesting authority to issue purchase order to the number 1 ranked firm of Leonel Garza and Associates for the appraisal service as it relates to the Edinburg Effluent Line Wastewater Treatment Plant, WWTP.
Move for approval. Check.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
We have no item under closed session unless board wishes to entertain one.
Need a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you very much, Judge, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. This concludes our Drainage District Board of Directors meeting. We've got to wait a few minutes before we can begin our regular County Commissioners Court meeting. Thank you, Mike. Good morning. Once again, we would like to welcome you this morning, this time to the regular Hidalgo County Commissioners Court meeting for today, October the 16th of 2012. Present are Commissioners Palacios Precinct 2 and Palacios Precinct 4 and myself. We have a quorum. Please join us in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Townsend, please.
Dear Father in heaven, thank you for this day. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to be here. Help us to remember that all of us share the same concerns and want the same done for the county. I ask you to help us to remember to bless the veterans and the troops that are fighting for us now, and to never forget them. Bless our families and bless our nation. Amen.
Thank you. Mr. Ofracio, any concerns with the consent agenda?
Yes, Judge. I would like to ask that consent agenda item 3L and 6D be pulled for discussion.
That's 3L as in Larry?
Yes. And 6D as in David.
All right. Those in, need a second?
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries. 3L is what?
3L has to do with funding for regular agenda item 18E1. And we were recommending no action because we had a concern with the 18E1 agenda item.
Yeah, the agenda item regarding the work authorization for the 10th Street project is pending an amendment to the interlocal with the City of Edinburg. However, that amendment will include participation by the City of Edinburg and will reduce this cost. However, we're providing full funding at this time for the agenda item, and then we'll unappropriate whatever funds the City of Edinburg will be contributing once the interlocal is amended. That amendment will take place probably within the next 2 weeks.
Judge, Commissioners, just to further explain, is we're breaking down the interlocal between the city of Edinburgh and the county. We need to spell out what the responsibilities are going to be for both city and county. We feel comfortable with the current request at this point in time. The amendment to the interlocal will be a lump sum amount is what we're looking at, and it's going to cover all the fees that we believe that the city of Edinburgh should come to the table with. So we feel comfortable with it.
Okay. Yeah, I think the county had an interlocal with the city
Yes.
for,
A
for
percentage.
this project, but that project included 40 parcels.
40 parcels. This work authorization will include, I think, an additional 52 parcels that are from the parcels that are west from Junior to 107. I think the original interlocal and the amended, which was back in 2005 and 2007 respectively, those 40 parcels were from Junior all the way to Monte Cristo. So I believe this is covering the southern portion of that project. So there will be an amendment to include these new 52 parcels and also some additional services that are going to be provided within this work authorization that were included in the original interlocal.
Now, the previous circumstances of the project, both city and county were expecting that they were both going to construct PS&E and construction. In the last year, we were able to secure some funding from the MPO and TxDOT. Now that the responsibility of the county and the city is much less, it's a very minute proportion to the overall project. And so we're obviously at an advantage now with the new funding that we secured for that project. So we feel comfortable.
Okay. And I think from our standpoint, we would need some clarification as to the 40 parcels, where they're located, and the new 52, because at this point, the interlocal is about 7 or 8 years old.
That's
and
correct, sir.
I don't think a lot of the documentation is there.
Right.
So now we need to clarify which are the 40 parcels, where they're located, and the new 52, where the location is.
We'll have the amendment interlocal and as well as the map as well.
Okay. You want to go ahead and recommend approval for?
We would recommend
sir.
approval for this
3L?
item.
Okay.
Need a second?
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
6D, you going to address it, Marty?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
6D is acceptance and approval to award a proposal received from CAS Companies in the amount of $914,711.63 through Hidalgo County's membership and participation with the TIPS TAPS Contract 607-2612. And this is for the modular buildings. It would be including the build-outs on the interiors and including all other required elements as identified through the scope of work. We received the proposal during the weekend. I did have staff working on this through the weekend to verify pricing. If there's any questions on the details, we did email that to the auditor's office late yesterday afternoon, and this morning we asked that it be attached to the agenda. Mr. Garza, who has been assigned to this project, can answer any questions you might have. Funding has been identified through DBM, through an emergency transfer. I think that's correct.
You're going to fund that today, Sergio?
Yes, sir, we'll be funding that today. We received the cost figures late yesterday, so we're running through the proposal to see what was going to be categorized as other structures, what's going to be categorized as building expense. So we're running through that right now. We'll prepare an emergency transfer. I've already given your office the account number where the funds will be transferred from, so we'll be preparing that later this afternoon.
What is the change, the total cost of that?
No, this is for, the change has been the addition of all the interiors, the build-outs, judges' benches, jury boxes, all other elements that were described in the scope of work. Remember, the modulars were built and configured to accommodate.
Let me ask the question this way. Is there any change to the total cost of the project?
This is an additional cost.
And what's the amount?
What's it, what?
The amount.
900, as I stated, $914,711.63. And let me ask Mr. Garza to detail you what all of that is inclusive of.
Yes. Good morning, Commissioners, Judge. Let me just make a little clarification. The total amount of the proposal that came in is $914,711.63. However, we have the coefficiency discount that brings the total, the actual amount is $904,534.70. That's applying the coefficiency. So, in
Page 3, why don't you?
yes, on
If you'll
page,
flip over to the third page,
on the second page, I think it's the second
is it
page.
the second?
Yes. You will see a breakdown of the coefficients that have been applied that corresponds to job order contracting based on the McAllen City Index that we're receiving. That brings the total to 904,000. Yes, sir.
The way it's been at least perceived is that it went 914,000 over budget. And what we were trying to find out is what made it go that, made it that expensive.
The modulars in themselves have already been encumbered and are in process of delivery. What has escalated the pricing, Judge and Commissioners, is all the additional work that has to be applied to the modulars. In example, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, sewer. We have trenching, and additionally, we have a petition from the judges and the sheriffs to incorporate safety issues that are now being required in addition to requirements from the city to improve the facade of the square.
But after all that was known that was going to be needed, so wasn't that included into the total cost?
Not for the purchase of the modulars, Judge. The purchase of the modulars are turnkey standalone project. After the purchase of the units, then comes the permitting from the TxDOT, from transportation, and there was an additional amounts of cost. And of course, the city council was very nice in helping us out, and the city of Edinburg is helping us out to be able to make this thing happen. But in addition, there has been some requests that we have to comply, and we still have to tap into their sewer lines and water lines and all these things that have incurred additional costs. But the breakdowns are transparent. I have personally reviewed every line item, and have also, for the review of the auditors, have broken down all the backup information per square foot, per yard, per cubic yards, so that there's a transparency in being able to identify the items.
Marty, has Mr. Sunday reviewed this proposal?
Yes, we had a meeting. We had a meeting yesterday. You'll see the attached. Unfortunately, Mr. Sunday didn't sign the review and negotiation meeting that we had, but Mr. Guerra was there in conjunction with Hafen Associates, Steve McGarrett from Dannenbaum, and all this project has been in concurrence with the project engineers.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the funding. You said you're going to have emergency funding, Sergio? Are you going to use certificates of obligation for this project?
Yes, sir. Series 1342.
Okay. I'm not sure if...
2010 A and B.
I'm not sure if the COs...
The COs would call for the new facility and any type of site work or preparation work that needs to be done to the site.
Is it included in the...
That's included in the certificates, yes.
Okay. Thanks.
All right, does that address your concerns? All right, need a motion to approve?
So moved.
6B, need a second?
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you. That is all I have.
At this time, I want to take some items out of order, beginning with item 5C.
Sorry, Jeff. I need to ask a question. About this, with the modulars, as much as it's running now, could we have done a permanent structure?
Well, we're trying to build a courthouse. That'll be very permanent, but right now, we're trying to accommodate, I believe it's 3 courts in these modulars. We need space.
Yeah, but we thought it was going to be a good deal, and I'm not sure it is now.
It is a good deal, if I may, Judge.
Yes.
It is a good deal. You have to understand that you made a comment, or you just referenced that could we have built a permanent structure? You have to understand that all the structures that we were looking at, permanent structures or areas where we could build a permanent structure, the biggest obstacle was our security measures. Right now, we have off-site courts, and security is a concern to us. Again, at the courthouse, that is exactly why at the courthouse we built that sally port for the transportation of the inmates and the safety of the residents with respect to the inmates going from the holding cell or the cell area to the respective courts. So with respect to the area that we were looking at, it made all the sense in the world. Anywhere else, you were going to have logistical problems with respect to transportation, which we have right now. If you recall, we were originally looking at Shady Lawn Park to put these modulars. Again, two things came up, and first and foremost was the security issue, was the transportation of inmates. One, you don't have a sally port. We weren't going to have a sally port in that area, and there were some infrastructure issues that had arisen. So, with respect to the area, that makes all the sense in the world. Plus, you're bringing all the courts back to the courthouse and having one central area for the justice system, as opposed to what we have right now. Again, as the judge mentioned, our biggest need is space. And so we're having to deal with the limited space that we have. And as you're well aware, I've been working now for quite some time trying to accommodate and shift departments so that we can effectively create space where there is no space. So at the end of the day, Mrs. Townsend, yes, it is, with respect to the cost associated with the project, it is a good deal.
Well, excuse me, but you know, whenever the district attorney took their people out and moved them to the annex building, it left some empty space in the major part of the courthouse. So I would think if you wanted all the courts to be in the same place, you would have tried to find a place, I don't know whether it's fourth floor that's partially empty.
The space that was vacated was immediately used up. See, again, the fifth floor, we acquired quite a bit of space, but our public defenders moved in there because of the court system. Again, we have no space. And so, little by little, we have been effectively moving everyone back to the courthouse that needs to be at the courthouse.
All right.
So if I go over there, Valdi, it's going to be full. There's no empty space.
I tell you what, if you'd like, after court, we can take a trip together.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, then we're not going to be taking up 5A yet.
So what you're telling us and what you just voted on is that there's a $914,000 cost overrun on the modular program?
No, it's not an overrun. It was always anticipated. It just wasn't stated properly. I mean, they always anticipated putting electricity, anticipated doing some trenching for the plumbing, anticipated doing some modifications to the modular buildings. I mean, these are all things that were anticipated, but I was trying to make a point because they were making a comment that it was $914,000 over budget, but it's not, because these items were items that were anticipated.
So what is the total cost of the project now?
What is it? Do you have it, Bobby?
The cost of the modulars was right at $1 million, which was properly disclosed, and right now $914,000 for the site preparation work is what we're looking at.
So that's the cost of the project now is $914,000?
The site preparation work, yes, sir. That was always anticipated, but with all things, we didn't have a dollar or a number that we could go with. We just knew that there was going to be a cost associated with.
The legal counsel is shaking his head.
The total cost, first of all, total cost, your question was total cost. If total cost, that'd be a combination of the modular buildings plus site prep.
1.9.
So So it'd be 1.9.
Right. Okay, let's move on.
Okay.
Item 5C, we have a young man, a 12-year-old citizen, resident of our county who has achieved some statewide recognition. I believe, Ms. Munoz, you're here to make a presentation. That's Adelita Munoz with our Extension Service.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Jaime Longoria with the County Judge's Office. I'll just read the caption and then hand it over to Adelita. It's a proclamation, and actually it's going to be recognition honoring Charles Lee for his contributions to Valley West 4-H Club. And here's Adelita Munoz.
Thank you. Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. A few weeks ago, you all had a proclamation proclaiming this past week as 4-H week. And I don't know if you had the opportunity and privilege to see our 4-Hers. They were all over the county helping organize cancer walks. They were picking up trash. They were collecting items for the soldiers. They were doing all kinds of things. That is what 4-H is all about. And today, I am very proud to present to you a very good product of 4-H. Charles Lee has won a national title. He was one of 50 youth representing Texas and the only one representing Hidalgo County, and he won nationwide. So I'd like to introduce him and have him tell you the talk, or give you the talk that won him the world champ, okay? Thank you. Charles?
Mr. Lee, would you step to the podium?
Thank you, everybody.
You think so? Yeah.
Good morning, sir.
Wait just a second. They need you on the mic, sweetheart. And on the TV. Okay.
If you're on the mic, you'll come out on television tonight.
Good morning. This speech, the topic was finding your inner rock star, and my speech was on this topic, the finding your inner rock star. So here it is. Bienvenidos a este gran espectáculo donde se reúne lo mejor de lo mejor. El show mundial de juventud de la Asociación de Caballos de Cuarta Milla. Mi nombre es Charles Lee y represento el gran estado de Texas. In English, simply. Welcome to the greatest place in the world where the best of the best are here. The American Quarter Horse Youth Association World Show. My name is Charles Lee and I am from the great state of Texas. When I first thought of the theme, finding your inner rock star, I thought it would be difficult because I didn't inherit the rock star gene from my Uncle Dave, but I am country through and through. But one thing I do know is that the American Quarter Horse Association rocks. Now, back to where I'm from. I grew up in South Texas, as the crow flies, about 10 miles from the border between Mexico and the United States. In Texas, you can easily see the influences that the Mexican culture has in the area. The Quarter Horse is one of the foundation breeds that make up the American Azteca. The Azteca is known as the national horse of Mexico and had become extinct. But through careful breeding selections, the crosses between Andalusian, Quarter Horse, and Creole bloodlines, the Azteca has been recreated to the magnificence for which they were known. The Quarter Horse is known for their athletic ability, good temperament, and physical attributes. Make no mistake that on either side of the border, the Quarter Horse reigns supreme. The first time I competed at the Ford Youth World Show, I said this was my first time, but not my last. So I am here again, seeking the world title. But no matter what the results are at the end of the competition, I walk away with knowledge, experience, and sportsmanship that can never be taken away. My inner rock star is found with me. No one else can give it to me. I can't buy it, nor can someone else want it for me. I can dream, work hard, and trust in my ability to become a world champion. I compete in the working cow horse competitions. I know that I'm part of a team, my horse and I. I have no one else to influence me as I make my ride. But the one thing that makes a huge difference as I ride is that I'm having fun. And that's what it's all about. As every good performer knows, you are involved with every detail of the performance. As my horse and I enter the arena, the rock star in me emerges, eager to perform. The stage is set, the smell of the fresh, moist dirt. Lights shining bright, all instruments are finely tuned. My horse and I as the rider. My horse feels the invigorating tempo of my cues and produces a rhythmic and precise pattern. As the hooves connect with the ground, the beat pounds into my soul and produces an electrifying feeling. I ride my pattern, warming up the audience with excitement for the big event. Cow work. The calf is released into the arena. All is focused. As we cut the calf back and forth multiple times, the crowd goes anxious with some whistles. I take the calf down the long side of the wall at full speed. Dirt flies as I cut the calf back and forth multiple times. The crowd goes wild with yells and cheers. I am the rock star of this show. As I circle the calf in the center of the arena, this signals the performance is coming to an end. We come to a stop in the center of the arena. I tip my hat to the judges with respect. Our hearts beat fast with adrenaline and excitement. We gave it all during our performance, and our reward is the cheer of the crowd. Finding your inner rock star to me means to find that one thing that inspires you the most. Now, I don't know if anyone will ever ask me for my autograph or want to take my picture, but maybe one day there will be a song written, a country song. Thank you very much.
So that's our little rock star representing Texas and Hidalgo County in our 4-H association. If anyone out there has some children that can participate in 4-H, please call our office. There is something for every child in 4-H. He happens to be involved in a lot of things, not just horses. He'll be participating in the food show, which is coming up at the end of this month. And we will take any other youngster. We love to work with youngsters with public speaking, every kind of life skills. I'd like to introduce Charles' mother, Mrs. Lee, who has worked very hard. She and her husband have supported Charles a lot. And you know, one of the things we always encourage parents is to work with their children and find out what their skills and talents are. We need to explore because sometimes we don't know that we do have rock stars. Again, thank you so much for your time, Judge and Commissioners, and have a great day.
Well, yeah, let's take a picture, Rick. Very good. Well, aquí está bien. All right. Commissioner Esteban. This young man competed in a category that included up to 18-year-olds nationally, and he won. Mr. Lee, thank you for making our county proud of your achievement, sir. All right. I know we have several elected officials that need to be recognized, and if there's any item that Judge Ricardo Rodriguez, I know is here. What item are you here on, Judge?
Judge, they're here on item 16A, Judge. I assume that we got a lot of members from the community that are here to honor a very special individual. If we can take that item out of order.
Yes, item 16A.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Tough act to follow, but I'm going to try. If we can go ahead and move item
16A.
6D as well. Item 6D is the request of the City of Edinburgh to use the Town Square parking lot beginning on February 1st, 2013 and February 2nd, 2013 for All America City 10K Run and Walk event.
Move for approval of item 6D.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Judge, I'm now going to move on to item 16A, which is the resolution in honor of David Chavana. If I could have Mr. Chavana and his family and any, we have the City of Edinburgh 10K committee board members and Parks and Recreation board members here. We have Judge Ricardo Rodriguez, who's also here as a member of the 10K. Mr. Chavana, if you want to go and come up with your family.
Morning. Morning, David.
I'm going to go ahead and read the resolution, Judge. Whereas David Chavana, an Edinburgh native, has earned the respect of running professionals, colleagues, friends, family members, students, and the Edinburgh community for his outstanding dedication as a director and co-founder of the annual Edinburgh All-American 10K City Run Walk over the last 30 years. And whereas Chavana's passion for running began over 36 years ago when he started running to lose weight. He quickly turned his exercise routine into his passion, and since then has competed in over 408 races and ran thousands of miles in events held throughout the United States. And whereas running has become a lifestyle for Chavana, he uses his weight loss story and love for running to motivate not only the people he meets, but the students he teaches every day at Edinburgh North High School. And whereas last year Chavana retired as the director of the Edinburgh All-America City 10K Run, he will now continue participating in this race as a runner. And whereas Chavana's contribution and dedication to both the community of Edinburgh and the sport of running have marked him as a trailblazer among his peers, and while he no longer directs the race as he once started, he continues to encourage others to pursue a healthy lifestyle and their dreams by encouraging them to follow their passion and to do what they enjoy. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court hereby recognizes and honors David Chavana for his outstanding service, dedication, and commitment to the City of Edinburgh and the citizens of Hidalgo County. Dated the 16th day of October, 2012.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Judge.
David, congratulations, sir. During your leadership, this 10K run has become one of the best attended events throughout the state. And I know that every year that I've known about, you've been in charge of it. You've been the one providing that leadership. And for that, we certainly want to recognize you here today and thank you for your efforts. And if you care to make any comments.
Judge, before he comes up, I know he has, we have Coach Erickson, who also works with him, and Judge Ricardo Rodriguez, who would like to say a few words before he comes up.
Yes, please.
Esteemed Commissioner members and Honorable Judge, I want to thank you for your undying support of the Edinburgh All-American City 10K. David Chavana, excuse me, David Chavana was instrumental in bringing this race to becoming the largest border race of its type, community-based fun run in the entire continental United States. In the last 10 years, we've averaged approximately 7,000 participants in the fun runs, providing health and wellness awareness to the entire county as well as the city of Edinburgh. Also, he has been a leader in providing community support for health and wellness throughout the city of Edinburgh and the county. This event, as you know, has become one of the largest events in the continental United States and is number 2 in the state of Texas at this time. And it's a credit to David Chavana, his family, and all those that have supported him in his efforts to develop one of the most elite 10K community-based fun runs in the entire country. And I would like to personally thank not only the Commissioner's Court, yourself, Judge, but also the City of Edinburgh for their undying support of this great event. David, thank you very much, and your family as well.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning,
Ramon
Judge.
Garcia, Commissioners. Again, I want to commend all of you for taking the time for this resolution for a great individual, David Chavana. I've served on the 10K board since I was a city commissioner for the city of Edinburgh. And as long as I can remember, David Chavana has been responsible for the 10K event. This is a true example of an individual who has put in countless time, effort into something that he really loves. And you could tell that by his passion for the 10K. So David Chavana has set a great precedence on what community service is about. All the years that I've known him since I was young up till now, that is what David Chavana is for the city of Edinburgh and also for this county. And as Coach Erickson mentioned, Coach Chavana has put the 10K event in a position where it's recognized throughout the whole state. He has placed Edinburgh in the county of Hidalgo on the map with this event. Many individuals talk about this event not only here in the city of Edinburgh, but all over the Rio Grande Valley and all over the state. So again, on behalf of myself, being a member of the 10K board, and not putting as many hours as Coach Chavana has put on this 10K event, and everything else that he's been involved with. So again, I'd like to congratulate Coach David Chavana for being the person that he is, again, for the countless hours and efforts that he's put in into this community, and for being a friend. Thank you very much.
Can you,
Coach, if I just made a couple of comments. I'm pleased to call him my coach in my younger years. It never failed every time I ran into David throughout the city. Whether it didn't matter if it was at a restaurant or just passing by, he always had something to share, and it always was based on working hard, those moral fiber attributes that he always pressed, and I really appreciate him growing up through the many years, and I consider him a coach to life for me, and I appreciate everything that you've done, not just with the 10K, but pretty much everything you do. And I just wanted to, I'm honored to be able to place it on the agenda under our caption, and I'm happy to see you here and see everybody here supporting you. Thank you.
Good.
Back in 1978, we had a marathon, 26.2 miles. It started at a bank in Hidalgo, city of Hidalgo. And back at that time, we would go down, I think, Military Highway onto McCall Road and finally come out here at the corner of McCall and University. And when I did it the first year, first of all, I didn't know what I got into. But once I was there, I kept moving. And one of the best sights I ever saw was a courthouse. When we turned on McCall and University, I could see it in the distance. That was the finish line, and I never forgot that. And now, as I mentioned earlier, we're coming back to the courthouse. The 10K is coming back to the courthouse again. So I just wanted to mention that thing. Back at that time, there was not that much traffic, more citrus trees, and I was a lot younger too. So we could have gone that distance there. It means a lot to me today. I want to introduce some of my family members back here, because without them, this couldn't happen. First of all, I want to introduce my tia, Lida Chavana. She doesn't like to agree to it, but she is one of the oldest Chavanas around. And then my cousin, Homero Vasquez. Homer, one of the best memories I have with Homer is he took me to a basketball game at what is South Junior High now, Edinburgh High, and we got to see Luke Jackson play. And then when he was in the 76ers, I believe, and Homer took me to that game. I don't know if you remember that, Homer. And the other thing, we had a flat tire. We had to fix it after the game. But Homer was the one that guided me through my early years, keeping me going in athletics and teaching me that what it would mean to be an example and give back to the community. Then I also have my niece, Clarissa Palacios, and is it Raul or? This one's Roel, okay. And then I also have my pride and joy. Come on up here, guys, please. This is my entourage right here. Now, this is my son, Noah. Noah is 12 years old. He's a 6th grader at St. Joseph. And this is my grandson, Trey. He's 13 years old, and he's a 7th grader at South. They were born 5 months apart. We had quite a year in 1999. But this is my pride and joy. This is mainly why I had to step back from the 10K, because they're growing up and requiring more time to spend with them. It used to be where I used to walk in with them and they say, hey, Chavana, who's the 2 boys you have with you? Now it's the other way around. The boys walk in and say, hey, Trey, who's that old man you got with you? Or Noah, who's that guy you got with you? It's changing now, and that's part of life. And I came to a hard decision that I needed to step back from the Edinburgh 10K and become more part of their lives. I'm a taxi driver nowadays. But the 10K is in good hands with Doug Erickson, the new race director. And again, it's not, and I like to say this all the time, it's not a David Chavana one-act play. It's a community coming together for the Edinburgh 10K and the Hidalgo County. It's a great event. It'll keep on going, and it'll flourish. It will never go away or never run away. But that's one of the events that I'm real proud of. Judge Rodriguez mentioned and Joseph mentioned that I'm in education. I love education. I really do. I love working with kids. The greatest day for me during the school year is graduation day, when the kids graduate and you see them when they're freshmen and now they're seniors. Ask Steve Cruz back here. We had to get after Steve a few times. We have a place in Edinburgh North called the ISS, in school suspension, and I would not say if Steve was there or not, but but it's a great feeling to see those kids on graduation day get their diploma and give you a hug and say, remember when you got after me? Now I understand why. So Joseph, thank you very much, sir. I remember Judge Garcia, my dad, Jesus Chavana, took me one time to Lamar. No, was it to Lamar? Yes, to Lamar School. He gave me a sign. He said, Ramon Garcia, I do not know what you're running for back at that time, Garcia, but you're running for something. And he said, you stay here until I pick you up. And I stayed there all day. And of course, Mr. Palacios, from far, we go back a long way, sir, your family and I. Thank you very much again today, Mr. Quintanilla. Nice to see you, sir. So again, thank you very much. There's an old Greek saying, when somebody dies, they ask them, did that person have passion? Did that person have passion? Not that they have money, that they're educated, did they have passion? And the day that it happens, which will probably be another 50 years from now, that I pass away, that will be the question that my grandson and my son will mention. David Chavana had passion, and that's what I'm about. Thank you very much. May God bless you, and thank you for this opportunity to be here today. I know Noah and Trey are happy because they could get away from school for a little bit, but they're going to go right back. Thank you again, Judge. Thank you very much.
All right, well, thank you. Dale.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Take care.
All right, at this time, in keeping with our policy, I would ask you to allow us to move to item number 8A. We have our Justice of the Peace from Precinct 2, far San Juan Alamo, far South McAllen area. Mr. Bobby Contreras wanted to make a presentation. Judge?
Good morning. Thank you, Judge. Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Commissioners. What an act to follow. Mr. Lee and then Mr. Chavana. So anyway, I know you'll have a long agenda. I wanted to be a little brief and tell you a concern that I have, and I think I've shared it with some of you, and it's regarding a Section 28. Where's my stuff? Section 28 is a mental commitment that most of the JPs we have in our office, that family comes in, they need assistance with a family member, we sign off on it, and then you know, we give it to the respective police department or sheriff's department, and they take care of it. One of the problems that we have been experiencing the last 2-3 months, seems like lately, is the fact that the city of McAllen is not doing Section 28s anymore, okay? And so they're telling us that, you know, we need to have our constables, you know, do that. The law says that a certified police officer has to serve that, okay? I think the city of Alamo, the city of Dana, the city of Florida, they're all doing their part, you know, and then for some reason or other, you know, they're not doing it. One of the biggest problems that I have right now is that we're a little bit understaffed, you know, as far as the constable's office, but I understand that's going to be taken care of in talking to the commissioner, but I don't know, Judge, if you noticed that the last 2-3 weeks, I think Ms. Chapa, I sent Ms. Chapa some people that, you know, they have a family member, and it's kind of critical in the sense that, like, for example, a daughter, a 15-year-old was trying to kill her mother. We did not provide the service. I signed off on the section, but we didn't have anybody to do it. Now, 90% of our clients that come in come from McAllen, okay? And like I said, City of FAR, we have no problem with them. They do their own. City of Alamo, City of San Juan, we have occasional problems. I'm just worried that something's going to happen, and, you know, I signed my name on the section, and then it didn't get done. They're going to come back. They're going to come sue somebody, and I don't want to, you know. So the last resort, what I did, I sent them over to your office, Judge, and I mean, I didn't know what else to do. And it seems like most of these sections that we have, they all come Friday late in the afternoon. We have an average of about 6 to 7 sections a week, more or less. And I want to have Melissa tell you a little bit of how the law changed. First of all, if you had a sick family member, you would come to my office, I would sign it. We would give the section to the family member. The family member then in turn would take it over to the local police stations, you know, with the city it represents, and then they would go pick up the patient and take him to MHMR, would take him to the hospital, wherever. now in February, Melissa's going to tell you they changed. Okay, this is Melissa, one of our coordinators. Melissa, go ahead.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners.
Good morning.
We attended a seminar back in February of 2012, and we were advised that we were doing it the wrong way. What we were doing is we were giving the Section 20, after the judge would sign it, we would give it back to the family member, and they would go to the local PD and turn it in there. They told us that wasn't the proper way to issue the mental warrant. That the judge needs to sign it, we would have to issue it to a peace officer, and they're to go and pick up the family member, whoever, needs the service. So now, the problem is that we do call our deputy constables to come and pick up the section, but sometimes they are not able to proceed with the proper procedure. Last week, we had a section, the one the judge just mentioned, the 15-year-old, and it just stayed there. The mother did call to our office, hiding in the closet. She was fearing because her daughter she feared for her life because her daughter wanted to kill her. Now the section sat in her office and it stayed there. And we've had 2 other ones that stayed in our office that were not served. Were not served.
So I don't know what the solution is to this thing. Like Melissa was saying, we were doing it wrong. In February of this year, they said, you need to change it around. You need to change this. You need to give it to your constable. So what McAllen is doing, what McAllen is saying, look, your constables are certified police officers. They can do it, Why bring it to us, But like I said, before all this happened, the sheriff's department used to do it for the longest time. They did it forever, since, I guess, Marmolejo and Escalon, all these. And then somewhere after Sheriff Trevino came in, there was a change, and they still do them. They still help us. But now, they left it up to individual precincts to do it. And I don't know what the answer is, and that's why I came over here, because I needed some help from you, some kind of direction as to what can I do, especially like on weekends, that 4:30, 5 o'clock, they come in there, and, our constables leave at 5 o'clock, and then these people from McAllen don't want to assist us. So I don't know what the answer is. Maybe we could have a meeting, or you could call a little workshop with the local police departments that are in our precinct and come to some consensus, because the majority of them do, and they say, well, we just don't do it anymore. They didn't give me a clear explanation as to why they're not doing it. And most of them are just, like I said, citizens of McAllen. And, if we had the personnel or whatever, I'd be more than happy to do it. But at this time, we're not, we're short on staff. We got 2 staff members out, and we only have 4 on staff, so 4 deputies. But I don't know what the answer is, gentlemen. And I just came to you so you could give me some kind of direction, and I hope, you find it within yourself to give me some kind of direction. Okay?
Yes. Mr. Guerra, were you going to be speaking on this issue?
Yes, sir.
Would you like to do it now?
Yes.
Okay.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Good morning, sir.
I'm not shaking hands with anybody. I have a minor cold, so stay away from me. Judge, Escalon is the one who stopped transporting patients back when he was sheriff. It wasn't Lupe Trevino or after Lupe Trevino. I gave an opinion back then that I felt that the JPs could order county officers to transport because they had jurisdiction through the precinct courts. Now, this is a county-wide problem that we faced since Sheriff Escalon was there. And I get some complaints about people not obeying the warrant. There's some legal issues, but really, it's not the legal issues that should be solved here. It's a question of whether the city of McAllen, that probably has the biggest population base in the county of any city, wants to carry their obligation of transporting some of their citizens that may be committed to any institution for their own safety and possible emergency treatment. The best solution would be for the county to partner with every city where they together could put in a fund to maybe staff a unique unit of 4 or 5 officers, female and male, so that they could transport any patient ordered by any court that has jurisdiction over a patient to a treatment facility or for treatment. Now, that's the ideal. The temporary is really to go back to the legislature and have them change the legislation, because the legislation right now says that a judge may. It doesn't say must, that an officer must obey the judge. And that's a problem that some people are interpreting, that the city of McAllen police officers are not going to transport because they don't have to. And until we would go into court and settle that issue, which would be sometime in the future, we wouldn't really have a legal basis to say that the city of McAllen is wrong and we're right, or possibly all of us are wrong. The bigger issue is, what do we do with these individuals that need emergency care? Now, I do know that sometimes, and I've heard in the past, that JPs are going to be dumped on Fridays when somebody wants to get away on a weekend and they have a problem child that they want to have committed until they come back, because some of the emergency commitments are for 72 hours, 48 hours or 72 hours before a doctor certifies them either for permanent commitment or they put them back on the street under medication. But I do believe that the legislature really should address this. I don't know what is done in other counties, but unless we get a cooperative effort, we're going to be still shooting and answering questions later. One of the problems that I see on behalf of the cities is, look at this. La Villa may have 3 or 4 officers. If a judge orders, Judge Speedy Jackson orders a commitment, if they take one officer to the hospital to wait there until that person is seen by a doctor, or to transport him out of town, you leave La Villa probably without any protection. The smaller cities are the ones that cannot obey the mandate of sending some of their officers for commitments, because you reduce the workforce by quite a bit. Now, McAllen, Edinburgh, I'm sure Mission, the larger cities can afford to send an officer, and I think they should, but they still have some resistance in doing that.
But in your opinion, who has the legal responsibility to execute the warrants?
I think right now, until the end of the year, when we go to the legislature, I think that the deputy constables should take the patients. They're the bailiffs for the JP court, and of course, the warrant can be addressed to any peace officer, but the one that has to obey the orders of the JP is the constable. Okay?
Do you want to talk about the AG opinion?
Josie has an Attorney General's opinion. I'd rather her address it, since I haven't really studied it in length.
No, sure. Judge Commissioners, this issue has come up before with some of our other justices of the peace and constables that have made us aware of the problem. This statute doesn't identify specifically which peace officers are responsible for executing these warrants, but there is an Attorney General opinion on point that says that it's either a municipal or county peace officer. So it's either or. But as Mr. Guerra mentioned, there is no mandatory language, and that's where we have the problem.
I thought any peace officer would be required to execute warrants if they properly issued warrant.
I can't do it, Judge. I can't do it. Now you force me as a judge to follow your order. Yeah. And then you have some other legal issues as to whether you can cite them for contempt. I don't know that Judge Contreras wants to cite the police department in McAllen under contempt for failure to obey his directive. The problem here is that the warrant says to any peace officer. The nearest peace officer right now is a constable. The constable is supposed to be there, I believe, statutorily as the bailiff for the JP court. And for enforcing any writs and other orders of the JP. And that's my understanding. Again, I haven't gone in depth on this, but I looked at it. Under the old system that we had an officer, forgot his first name, but he did a wonderful job, Officer Moreno. We never had any problems because he and another female officer used to transport patients all over the place. They used to take them to San Antonio, whether we needed to send them. But that was a burden on the sheriff's office because they were setting aside one or two or three or four officers to do that. Now, if we do that through the sheriff's office, you need to fund 4 positions, really, for the amount of people that are being committed to be safe, or maybe 2 permanent and 2 backup. But it's a question of personnel funding. Some of these people should really also have some training in the handling of these patients, because some really are in dire need of special treatment. So, and that's an obligation that the officer takes on himself or herself when they take that burden to execute that warrant and to follow to carry out the warrant request.
That's one of the issues that the constables have made us aware of, that they don't have the amount of staffing necessary to transport the patients. Their vehicles are not equipped for transport, and they also lack some of the training that would be necessary.
I mean, we've got to do something. I mean, these individuals need, I mean, that's what the statute's for, to help them, to help secure them and place them in a place where they'll be safe.
I'm not worried about lawsuits. I'm not worried about somebody being sued. If you carry out the order as best you can, the idea here is to transport the person that somebody has deemed needs emergency treatment. And I think for the time being, I really want to obligate the constables. I mean, we only get, the legislature is going to be in session January 10th, 20th, somewhere around there. And it's something that we can get sent to them to see if we get something out of them through June. But really the bottom line is, how do we pay for these special officers? And should we have a special group to do the whole county transport? I think that's the best solution. But I don't know if McAllen wants to pitch in some money along with City of Edinburgh and all the other cities to be able to together fund, I would say, at least 4 officers, 2 female and 2 male.
Yes, Judge.
I think the DA has a great idea, but again, you know, we're caught with this dilemma right now, and as he was saying, sometimes you have a patient, a schizophrenic, you need to take 2 people. If you have a female patient, you're going to have 2 deputies, you know, and I'm kind of sorry that my deputy is not here. They don't have, he tells me, they don't have the screen on the vehicle, you know, to protect themselves, because some of those people, you know, they get a little violent, you know, especially, you know, if they're on some kind of medication or they're not taking medication. But again, I wanted to stress to you that it's real important. It's coming up, and I just, you know, I am worried about lawsuits because, you know, I'm the one that signs my name in there, you know. And so that's why I say, you know, if I have nothing else, I'll send them either to the county judge's office or to the DA's office for some kind of direction, because the problem is out there and we need help like right now. So thank you for hearing me out, and I hope, you know, to have some kind of response from you gentlemen soon. Thank you.
All right.
Judge, one last word. Judge Contreras must order a constable for the time being to transport a person whether the vehicle is equipped or not. Now, we can fund a few dollars to put screens if that's an issue. Judge Contreras is not going to be sued. If they sue, he's immune. It's a facilitating of the transportation of the patient that somebody may want to sue, but I don't think families are going to sue when they are asking that their patients be taken for treatment. I don't think that's a problem. And I don't think that really is a major concern. Right now, the constables must transport these patients. I don't think there's any way about it. And with occasional help from the sheriff's office, and I think Sheriff Lupe Trevino will be able to assist when he can.
Well, in order to notify him, should a letter come from your office or advising the constables that that's part of their obligation?
Judge, I think I'll tell the constables they must, okay? They must. They have to obey the directive of the JP court. Right. Now, let city police officers worry about the directives of the municipal court for the time being until we have a legal answer through a legal court. Right now, the safe play is, look, we have several deputies assigned to every precinct, deputy constables. If they can't do the job, okay, then they need to step aside. I'm sorry, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We have to do the temporary thing until we have a legislative fix, or the Commissioner's Court decides to grab this issue by the horns and fund for officers.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Guerra.
Thank you.
Judge
Mack.
Yes,
Morning.
go ahead, sir.
Chief Sanchez, the Constable Precinct 2. It's not like I was explaining to the judge. It's not that we don't want to do it. It's just we don't have the manpower. We have short staff. I only have 4 deputies right now working with us. 2 out of them seek. And I got 4 that are working civil and working the sections and working warrants. Plus my equipment. I mean, I don't have equipment. All my vehicles are 2000s and no cages. I mean, and like it says, we'll do them. We don't have a problem doing it, but like it says, it's going to take 2 deputies of mine to go and execute that section. And then what's going to leave me? Just leave me with 2 to do all the civil? That's what I just wanted to
Yes,
comment.
sir. Somebody else want to make a comment?
Judge, Commissioners, we have Mr. Terry Crocker with MHMR. Part of the 1115 programming we're looking at may actually present a possible, and I want to put that in quotations, possible solution to this. I want to let Mr. Crocker explain a little bit about the direction we're going under this 1115 waiver and maybe looking at some funding for this.
Just very quickly, Judge, the prior funding for officers that the district attorney spoke to, I believe that was special funding when the county was doing all those transports. That funding was a special grant funding that went away approximately 2003. Through the 1115 waiver program that y'all have been hearing a lot about in our current plan that's already been submitted, that will be going up for approval, we've included 18 mental health officers to help address this exact same sort of issue. It's a problem across the safety net and across the Rio Grande Valley, and pending approval, we think that this will make a huge impact in our ability to address these issues. These would be officers in a task force style that would be stationed at different either cities or counties across the Rio Grande Valley to be assigned to do this issue. So we just want to let you know that that's in the books, that's in the plans right now, and we hope that we'll get approval and it'll help deal with these and more issues.
Judge, again, this is part of the whole 1115 program. Tropical Texas Behavioral System has been working diligently, and they're one of the largest partners in this 1115 waiver, which I'll talk about more in a little bit with you. But this might be an opportunity for us here, sir.
What is the timeline?
The proposal is due at the end of this month. We're looking at early spring when the money would be multiplied. That's what we've been talking about. So probably the first part of next year, when, if it all gets approved and we get all the multiplier and everything, it'd be early spring. March. Yeah, March, April, in there. So there is hope for that for the future, but between now and then, sir, I would leave it up to Commissioner's Court and the JPs and constables.
Well, between now and then, those warrants need to be executed, otherwise they're meaningless, and the safety of that individual and his family and the public.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's the correct thing to do, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Mr. Guerra? Oh, Bob is not here. Well, Mr. Guerra, Judge, we're going to work on getting the relevant stakeholders together.
Sorry?
We're going to try to put a group together to talk about what we do between now and the time we get fully funded.
Okay.
Hopefully it will happen.
Okay.
I appreciate it very much, gentlemen. Have a good day.
All right, moving back to item 5A, update on the 2010 census count litigation.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners. Keeping up with our policy of trying to brief you on this matter every 2 months, we have a summary that's being passed on to you. We just finished this past week the 3rd submission on this undercount project. We've identified 5,720 addresses that we so far identify as being missed. That's about 60% of the rural area. So we've still got a good 40% of the rural area. And our projections right now looks like we're probably at around 20,000 undercount if they accept these. We did get a call back from the Census Bureau on the first submission. Every submission that we make goes through what they call 6 stages. The first one is in stage 5. And we've been getting queries about the data, and those queries have been submitted to our expert, and he says they're taking this very seriously. The documentation has been good, and we are proceeding forward. One thing we could say is, you know, at 20,000, if we have 20,000 now, by the time we get through, we shoot for maybe 40 or 50,000. That's an incredible number because it translates, 50,000 translates to about 150 million over a 10-year period. So this is really important. I wanted to, so you can see the work product of your GIS department, is leave these with the judge's office so that you can see the detailed work that your GIS department is doing. I mean, it's extensive. And the reason this is important is because this county didn't participate in the LUCA program 2 years before the census. So we missed out on what we're doing now. Is extremely important, but I'm going to leave these with the judge's office so that you all can get a good sense of where we are. I wanted to have Mr. Garza talk a little bit about the input we're getting from our expert insofar as how this process is moving along.
So as we've indicated in prior presentations, we have identified a statistician who has worked extensively with the Bureau of the Census and in legal actions. He's assisting us at this point in terms of reviewing the material that we've submitted to the Bureau of the Census and in giving us his feedback on what additionally we have to prepare and what his take is on the reaction that we're getting from the Bureau of the Census. And as Mr. Rios indicated, we're in stage 5. The conversations that we've had with the Bureau of the Census give us and our expert the sense that they are taking this very seriously. They're looking at it in some detail. It's been several months now that they've had the first submission, so they're not looking at it in a casual way. So that gives us some basis for hope. In addition to that, if as Mr. Rios indicated, we are preparing the information and the data in a fashion so that if something falls off the table, falls through the cracks, that we will be prepared then for litigation. But this is a much more streamlined and less expensive way of approaching the problem, as we've indicated in our presentations before.
Yes. Like I said, Judge, I just want you to get a sense of how detailed the work is that your GIS people are doing on this. It's very, very detailed work, but very important, more importantly, the product that we're creating and the detail that we're providing the Census Bureau will be there when they do the 2020 census as well. So, and that's because of the leadership that this Commissioner's Court has provided. I'm going to leave this here, and at this point, if you all have any questions, I'll be more than happy to, either me or Jose or your GIS people will be more than happy to answer. If y'all, any questions? Not, we will be back here. We're going to be back here every 2 months until we get this thing done and give you all a good report. And like Mr. Garza said, if we get any kind of a pushback from the Census Bureau that even though we provided all this detail and they don't want to give us an adjustment that we think is fair, then we will be going to court. But right now, I think this is the most efficient way of doing it. And again, thank you for your leadership on this issue.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Next item is 5B. Oh, sorry.
I have one question, or two. There was a presentation made several months ago that had different neighborhoods in the county displayed up on the screen. And there were some assumptions made that every roof in that subdivision had 5 people living in it. The Census Bureau, when they did their census, found only 2 houses or 2 roofs that had people that answered the census for a total of 4 people. If you look at that subdivision very carefully, it's a mobile home park. Winter Texans live there, and they hardly ever have more than 2 people. So the 5 assumption is wrong, at least in that neighborhood. And also, if you consider that in March or April, most of them go back north, naturally, their mobile home's going to be empty. So I think we need to be very careful how we analyze the data that's been presented to you before. I haven't seen this, so I don't know how it's assumptions or how it's being analyzed. But I think we need to be very careful because we could give them an opportunity to push back based on those poor assumptions that I think are poor. But I do applaud the county's efforts to get a correct census so Hidalgo County gets the aid grants that it should. Thank you.
Yes.
If I may respond just very briefly. First of all, the assumptions that were made and the data that's collected and submitted to the Bureau of the Census are the assumptions that the Bureau tells us to make. These are not numbers or figures that we pull out of the, out of the sky. We've never said it was 5 people. I think it's 3.4 that the Bureau of the Census says is an average of households in Hidalgo County. So they use that because in some households you may have 8 people, in some households you may have 1 person, but on average it's 3.4 across the county. And so the methodologies that we're using, the figures that we're using, we did not derive those out of whole cloth. Those are what the census tells us to use. And so, for instance, the very first submission that we made, they said, well, go back and take a look at the regulations because you didn't give us exactly everything we've asked for. We modified it, we submitted it, and every submission from that point has been specific in terms of the data that the Bureau requested and the data that we're putting together. We've had conversations with the Bureau of the Census regarding the data so that we can be sure that we're not missing anything, so that what they have on their table is something that they can scrutinize pursuant to their own regulations, pursuant to their own directives, pursuant to their own initiatives, so that we are speaking in the same language, if you will. And so that's one of the reasons, we can't guarantee that the census is going to accept these numbers. They're very protective of their methodology, that they've committed a complete count, et cetera, et cetera. They're very sensitive to criticism. But one of the things that we are attempting to do is make sure that we use the protocols that they've established so that we are speaking on the same language. And everything that we've heard, every indicator that we've heard, is that they're taking this very seriously. They're not making a rush to judgment. They are asking questions. There are dialogues that are going forward. And you're not paying for, think about it, your most expensive labor on this if the fight escalates, is legal fees. So we've been able to minimize the legal fees that the county has to pay, and we're utilizing the staff that you have here on the ground, who are the most efficient, and both in terms of being able to develop the data and in expenses to the county, so that we could put these things together. If at the end of the day they accept our numbers, they give us the count that we are able to establish, the work that Orlando and I have done is over. Whether or not we've maxed out our contracts, whether we've spent 10% of our contracts or 20% of our contracts, our work is over. So this is the most efficient, cost-effective way for the county to approach this problem, and we will not engage in litigation unless we are absolutely at the end of the rope in terms of our negotiations with the Bureau of the Census.
All right, sir. Thank you. All right. Our next item is item number 5B.
Item 5B, Judges and Commissioners, is discussion on TxDOT County Assistance Program, allocation for the fiscal year 2013, and approve the division of salvaged material per precinct. Judge Commissioners, every year TxDOT provides salvaged material to the county for maintenance on county roads. They're required by statute to provide that assistance, and each year we're allocated a certain dollar amount worth of salvaged material. Last year, if you'll recall, what you all decided to do as a board was to divide that equally in 4 parts. This year's allocation is $74,009, $74,009 for fiscal year 2013. And my question here for you all to act on is if we're going to continue the division, if that is the wish of the court.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, we'll need a motion to that effect, please.
So moved.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you,
sir.
Commissioners.
Item 6, Mr. Guerra.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners. Item 6A, 1 and 2, there's no action at this time unless there's action to be taken further down the agenda. Item 6B, Mr. Sunday, I just saw him. There he is. Just real quickly, Mr. Sunday, you want to give the court an update as well as the audience while he's coming up there. We will have some activity this weekend and the rest of next week. Mr. Sunday, I'll...
Thank you, Rick Sunday, Infrastructure Systems Division. Today, the purchase order gets cut after approval for the job order contractor. Tomorrow evening, the parking lot gets cordoned off with safety barriers. We're creating the temporary judges and very limited assigned parking in the south section. On the 18th, as of the 18th of October, there's no parking on the west side because it is in essence a construction site. The modulars will start to be moved in on Saturday, the 20th. It's all been coordinated with the city, with TxDOT, Constable's office. Postings are being placed in the courthouse today. All of the judges and elected officials at the courthouse have been personally apprised by either myself, Sergeant Cantu, or Lauro Torres from the executive office. So we try to be very proactive in the open and transparent communication and make sure that everyone was thoroughly apprised of the project lasting from October 18th through the end of the year, targeted to move in early January.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Sunday.
All right, next item is, again, out of order. We have an elected official, Mr. Our county clerk. What item are you here on, Mr. Wiley?
Judge, I believe he stepped out.
Oh, he stepped out?
Yeah, he stepped out for a moment, Judge.
All right, then we'll wait till he gets here. Item number 6C.
6C, yes, Judge, Commissioners, we have our annual holiday schedule up for approval. It is the same schedule as 2012's for 2013 and the same number of holidays. For the record, for the court's information, and for the audience, the holidays proposed for 2013 are New Year's Day, Martin Luther King Day, President's Day, Good Friday, Easter, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Columbus Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving Day, and Christmas Day.
Judge,
one of those days is a 2012 day. 2012 holidays were approved last year. Is it proper, Steve, to approve 2012 holiday? Again?
Mr. Eufrasio, all I can say is this is the way it's been done every year, and the fact that I'm bringing it back to Commissioners Court and we're in that year, it can be considered as a modification to the current schedule.
That is my question to legal counsel. Is it proper? I mean, I understand this is the same way it's done every year, but last year...
Mr. Frasco, I don't see how it makes any difference if it's the same day.
I'm sorry?
It will not make any difference if it's the same day.
Right, but 2012 holidays were approved last year.
I understand,
I mean,
but what I'm saying
2011
is
for
it's the
12.
same day.
So now we're approving 2013
Again,
holiday.
it's the same day.
All right.
All right. Before we vote on it, did you have a comment?
Yes, I had a question. I noticed that we have 15 holidays during the year, and I know every time we have anything, y'all throw up Harris County. Harris County only has 10, and I pulled up Dallas County only has 9. Harris County does not do President's Day. They don't do the Monday for Easter. They do the Good Friday. They don't do Columbus Day, and they don't do Veterans Day. I don't quite understand why we have to have so many when we're the poorest county, and that we're not trying to keep the county working at all times. I'm sure there's other days that y'all could throw in. We could probably have 20 days, but why not check with, you're always wanting to check with other counties, and Harris County only has 10 instead of the 15. Thank you.
All right, need a second? Is there a second?
He's waiting for a second.
Is there a second to the motion to approve?
It's not time sensitive.
If, then motion dies for lack of a second at this point then.
Judge, I think we should probably do our due diligence and check other counties.
Sure, that'll be fine.
Maybe option, bring it back next week.
That'll be fine. Okay, then let's move on to item number 7A.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Good morning, sir.
Jaime Cano here for Precinct 1 Constable's Office for discussion and consideration and approval to appoint Julio A. Gonzalez and Raul Lozano Jr. as Deputy Constables by Constable Celestino Avila, Precinct 1, in accordance with Texas Local Government Code, Section 86.011.
Judge.
Yes, sir.
One of those individuals is going to fill, based on the documentation that was attached, is going to fill a position that is currently occupied.
I'm sorry, one of those individuals is what?
One of these individuals that the constable is going to appoint is to fill a position that is currently filled. So,
if it's currently filled, why are we attempting to?
There was a paperwork turned into Ms. Rios in Human Resources that the status change was all that. Everything was turned in on Friday. There was a promotion that left a one slot. That we've already done that paperwork for the status change.
So there was a promotion and that it became, a slot became vacant? Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
it was a deputy position,
Uh-huh.
and that left it open, and we did the status change on Friday with Ms. Rios.
Can you enlighten us as to what's going on?
Yes, sir. Good morning. The paperwork was submitted to HR, and we did submit the paperwork to the administration building for the paper to go through to vacate the slot. So they do have 2 vacant deputy slots.
So there are vacancies?
Yes.
But is there going to be enough vacancies for the people that are going to be transferred? Because there was some vacancies in Precinct 5 at one time.
Right.
Are those the ones they're talking about?
No, these are the ones that were already in existence.
I just don't want,
Yes, they were. Yes.
I just don't want when it comes January, we're not going to have the slots for certain people.
So those are the vacancies for Precinct 1.
For Precinct 1 that he has right now.
I think currently
But the ones for Precinct 5 were filled, Commissioner, last couple of weeks ago. Is that correct?
I'm sorry?
The slots that Commissioner Flores is talking about were filled a couple of weeks ago, no?
No, he had a vacancy. He did advertise
No?
that position. He promoted somebody else, so
No, but Commissioner's
They're going to have to
question
be
was-
transferred after the
Right,
first of the
but-
year.
Right, but Commissioner's question was the slots for precinct 5. Those were filled, no? Is that what you're asking?
Well, from what I understand, they're going to be transferred over to precinct 1, and then he's going to go, and the present constable at precinct 5 is going to have to apply for that position. So.
But
I
there
don't know.
needs to be a vacancy
There
for
needs
him
be
to
a
apply
vacancy,
to.
That's what I'm asking.
They want to be done until...
If he gets the job, I'm not saying he's going to get it, you know.
Right.
Yeah, I think currently the precinct constable has 2 vacant positions, but the one that he's trying to fill is not vacant.
But you received the change of
yes.
status already, correct?
We submitted the paperwork to the budget office on Friday.
Did you understand the concern, though?
Yes, sir, that he didn't have the 2
And Judge,
vacancies.
they still haven't answered the question that I'm asking.
Right.
So.
The concern is, what is, we have been representing to Constable Marichalar, that he would have an opportunity to apply for a position, but there has to be a vacancy for him to apply for a position. Is
Yes,
there
sir.
going to be a vacancy, or are these 2 filling him up?
This is just what.
Right, these 2.
Judge, there should be a vacancy for next year because during the budgeting process with respect to the transfer, those dollars were allocated to the 2013 budget and there was no adjustment made to the 2012 budget. So the schedule for next year will show how many more
There'll
slots?
be three additional deputy positions in the precinct 1 area. There'll be 2 new deputy positions in the precinct 2 area, and there will be 1 new deputy position in the precinct 4. Those are the 6. Those are the 6 current deputy positions that are in precinct 5. So those 6 deputies would have to apply for those 6 different vacancies come January
So
1st.
those ones we're talking about right now have nothing to do with those ones from precinct 5. No.
Correct. These 2 that we're approving right now that are up for consideration are current slots for Constable Avila.
Did we follow all posting procedures?
Yes, sir.
I would have to defer to HR, sir.
He did advertise for a deputy constable position. During that time when he was interviewing, he did have this other second vacancy.
Right.
The position was posted.
Okay.
All right. If no other questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve. Need a second. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item B.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. I'm going to speak on item 7B, C, and D. We're going to request no action on those items.
All right, thank you, Constable. Item 9, Health Department.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners.
Morning, sir.
Item A is dealing with discussion and action, including but not limited to indigent health care programs and expenditures. I want to give an update on 1115 waiver. I had the honor of being able to testify at a public hearing at the State House of Representatives Committee on Public Health involving 1115 waiver yesterday, and it was in regards to our regional health plan, which a portion of regional health plan is due at the end of this month, and then the final draft will be due on November 15th. We're going to go ahead and bring a copy of that to the court as well, so they could have a copy of that. That's with all our partners, the Tropical Texas, University of Texas System, County, Cameron County, Starr County, Hidalgo County, and Willacy County as well, in working with that partnership and getting this program going. We're looking at being able to this year multiply upwards of close to $80 million will be multiplied from the various partners to bring in resources and medical support to our community, as evident by the discussion we just had about mental health transportation. We are working some final details. We have to acknowledge Steve Crane and Direne Sarmiento from Indigent Health and Human Services have been working very diligently on this. There's been a lot of legal issues involved with fine-tuning this, but it's all worked out in a good direction. So we're looking forward to getting that completed. I'm open to questions or comments in regards to 1115 that anyone may have. If not, sir, may I move on to item number B? Item B is it's under Human Services, approval of the following vacant personnel action. Delete slot number 0028, eligibility specialist 2, grade 6, and delete slot number 0031, billing specialist grade 3. and create slot 0035 coordinator, grade 13. This has been processed and reviewed through the various departments' budget and human resources to bring forward to you all.
What is the salary schedule?
At grade 13, sir, I don't have the grades in front of me. Do you have the grade slate in front of you there, Sergio? I don't have the backup one.
The proposed salary for the coordinator 3 position is $46,747. It'll be a net savings to the county for 2013 of $10,000.
Would you approve items 1 and 2?
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you very much, Judge Commissioners.
All right, at this time, we would acknowledge the presence of our county clerk and move on to item number 17A. I believe that's the one Mr. Guajardo is here on.
Sure. Morning, Judge Commissioner. Sergio Cruz, Department of Budget and Management. Item 17A. Item 1 is presentation on the classification and compensation pay plan committee recommendations. Before I turn it over to the committee chairman, Mr. Arturo Guajardo, I'd like to just give a brief history on the classification plan. Hidalgo County is following suit, the top 12 counties in the state in adopting a classification pay plan system. Only Harris County, the top county in the state, does not have a pay plan system for their civilian employees. They do have a pay plan for their law enforcement. We would be then the 11th county if we fully implement this plan to have a classification and compensation pay plan system here in Texas. Again, this is out of an effort several years in the making. Back in 2003, Commissioners Court contracted with MGT America to conduct a classification system study. In 2006, Commissioners Court was presented with the results. After that, they charged my office, the Department of Budget Management, with the task of implementing the classification system. We went back and redid the pay scales, as we thought there was an excessive number of pay grades within what was recommended by MGT. We reduced that to 21 grades and included a pay table of 11 steps. In February 8th, 2010, Commissioners Court implemented Phase 1 of the Classification and Compensation Pay Plan, which included 809 employees and 19 departments. A few months after, in July of 2010, Commissioners Court implemented Phase 2, which included an additional 602 employees out of 13 departments. And in May of 2011, there was a second phase second part to Phase 2, which we went in and did the upper management of the elected officials and included 7 employees out of 4 departments. If the plan is fully implemented, we expect to have roughly 89% of the county workforce in a classification pay plan structure. 25% of that will be the law enforcement, which they have their own grade and step system that's been in effect for several years already. Right now we have approximately 623 positions that need to be put into the pay plan, which is roughly about 21% of the workforce that still needs to be included in the pay plan. 11% of those, of the whole county employees will have to be excluded. We recommend that they follow the same procedures. However, because of statute, salaries for those individuals are set by different boards, so they would not be able to be included by order of the court. However, we do recommend that those positions do be assigned a grade and that those overseers basically follow the same plan as what Commissioners Court has adopted. With that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Guajardo so he can present to you the recommendations that the committee has come up with.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Good morning, sir.
The last time I was here, I did explain to you all that the committee had finalized its recommendations to the current policy. If you will, we came up with a few changes to the current policy. And then we were prepared to do a workshop to explain all those to you, but unfortunately I ended up in the hospital on that day. So here we are back, trying to get back on track as to what the wishes of the court are and what direction you want us to go in. And I'll just to give you a little bit of brief history as to how this originated. Sergio left off with the phases. There was 3 phases that were to be implemented in 2010. The court implemented phase 1, and then phase 2 gradually came in, and then phase 3, which was supposed to have come into play September 2010, never occurred. So as a result of that, and also as a result of some of the concerns that some of us that had with the policy that had been implemented on us, myself and the district attorney and the tax assessor collector came before the court and asked, this is about 5 months ago, and said, look, since it never was implemented on everyone and because we have certain concerns with the policy as it was approved, we're requesting that we be removed from the step and grade plan. And at that point in time, the court said, no, hold on, why don't you revisit some of the concerns you have? You appointed a committee to address the concerns that we had, and that committee did meet over a course of about 15 weeks. We did come up with some proposals, policy changes, if you will, to the existing plan. However, the court still needs to decide whether that's the direction we need to go in so that we can finalize how those policies would be implemented. At the same time, Mercedes Espinosa, which is our civil service attorney, is currently working with our HR department to draft policy manuals and what have you for the county workforce. And that's also kind of, affecting their work over there because we've, like Sergio said, we've got 79% of the workforce on a plan, 21% still pending, and I think it's important to either decide to move forward with it or not. If you do decide to move forward with the plan, I'd be glad to elaborate on what the committee did come up with as far as, and there was just minor changes, a little bit tweaks here and there, gave the departments a little bit more flexibility and a little bit more to work with to manage their own offices. But everything is still in limbo. Like I said, that's why we're here again to try to see what direction the court decides to go on. I don't know if Mercedes would like to share some of...
Commissioner Palacios had a comment.
Okay, I'm sorry, Commissioner, go ahead.
Well, first of all, I want to thank the committee for the work they've done up to now. And it's a long time in coming that we need to implement, I feel, phase 3 to implement the rest of the stand. And I think we need to do this in order to be fair across the board to all employees. And I'll yield to Virginia, see what she has to say.
Can we allow Mercedes to make some comments first, and then we can let Ms. Jones? Okay.
Yes, Ms. Espinosa.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. We have been working extensively with the HR department and various other county departments. We've had meeting after meeting, and we've made quite a bit of progress. The effort has been to combine what's known as the Blue Book, which is those employees who fall under civil service, and also the Brown Book, which is those employees who are exempt from civil service. And we've made significant progress, but there have been issues that have come up in the areas of demotions, promotions, reclassifications, and although not part of the manual, the process that the county takes in new hires. They are affected by compensation and whether or not there is a step and grade program. If we decide not to move forward with step and grade, then those areas of the manual need to be revisited, and because we have to play out the different scenarios. If somebody is promoted into a position that is classified in step and grade, then we need to address how that would happen. If a person is demoted out, or, so there's different scenarios that need to be considered, and it complicates the process to have the county some employees on and some employees off. So we're asking for some clarification today to move forward with the merging of the manuals. We're very close. We've made significant progress in the last month and a half, and we're here to answer any questions that you may have.
In the event, I know earlier we were talking about this issue, and in the event that the court were to not adopt the plan, you were making a statement concerning some proposed recommendation that you had. Can you explain that to us?
One option that the court could consider is developing a salary range for positions where you have a position with an entry-level salary and a range where it would cap out. That way employees who come into the county would have an idea of where their job growth is. Now, the departments and the offices would have opportunity to promote within that range if they're budgeted to do so. We haven't discussed this in detail, so I don't have specifics, but it's something that the court might consider if they choose to not move forward with step and grade for the countywide.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Ms. Townsend, you had a comment?
Yes, thank you, Judge. Everybody speaks so diplomatically because everybody works for the county, more or less, but I don't work for the county. So all I care about is fairness, and we've been talking about this at least 5 years, maybe more. If it doesn't sound fair, then it isn't fair. So if I have, even if you do the sliding scale of you could start here, but also you could have the option to give different, am I going to start with one precinct and get $18,000 for being a janitor, but over here at another precinct, they're paying $28,000 to go be a janitor? I think I'll go over there, even if I have to drive a long way, because it doesn't make sense, because it's not fair. Now, I guess the biggest thing that I like is no foolishness, guys. No game playing. I don't like it. We've been fooling around with this for a long time. The majority of the people are on step and grade, and it's working, and people are happy because it's fair, more or less, I guess. Anyhow, mostly we've got holdups from people who want to be in control, and I don't want somebody telling me, well, that doesn't work. It's not fair. So I would like to see everybody get on the same page and have fairness straight across the board. I don't know what it takes to get there, but that is what needs to be done, because the bottom line is people are they're not happy whenever they have one salary and somebody across the way, not very many miles down the road, has another one for doing the same job. So let's please try to get this taken care of this time. No more putting it off, no more committees, no more meetings for 15 weeks or whatever. Stop it. It's what's going on all the time. That's all we've been doing. I think it just needs to get down to the real people who are holding it up and saying, why are you holding it up? And are we all going to get on the same page, finally? Thank you.
Are there any questions? Any comments from members of the court? I think one of the issues that I know that we have an obligation to consider is the cost, which I think it's important that we look at and figure the cost of this step grade plan into our decision-making process. And I mean, I don't think it's any secret that next year's we're looking at our budgets very closely to make sure we adopt a budget that we can afford. It's not a matter of not trying to be fair many times. It's a matter of trying to do the best we can with the resources that we have without having to go to the community and raise taxes. But those are the issues that are going back and forth in this decision-making process. If we're talking about fairness, developing a salary range, I think would address some of those concerns everybody would know that if you're going to be working as a truck driver anywhere in the county, you're going to be earning a particular salary within a particular range. But are there any comments that any member of the court desires to make before we proceed with this issue?
Mine's simple. Obviously, we're not developing a new governmental body, and we're not talking about positions that are vacant, and that would make it much easier than the present situation that we have existing employees and existing slots. I've already agreed to the step and grade. I'm full force supporter of it. I believe that we got to set up the model, the standard, but we obviously have to accept the fact that it's going to be cured in time.
Right.
The range is the way to go, so there's no legal argument. Of course, it has to be a realistic range and not something that's fair. But the thing that's going to cure this is time. First is the adoption and then time. And if we can adhere to it and commit to it, I think that in time it will resolve itself. And so I do commend the chairman and all the members that work diligently to work on such a program that I think will work. I think we still need, as I heard Mercedes talking, there still needs to be some areas that need to be tweaked, but the whole point is to get moving forward. And I understand that it's all for nothing unless we move forward and adopt something. So I'm in support of whatever that may be in the wishes of the court.
And if you look at the current policy that is in place right now that the court adopted back in 2010, there is a step and grade system out there. There is a range, if you will. It's not referred to as a range, but everybody knows that, you know, you're hired at a certain grade and you've got a certain amount of steps associated with a job. But to the point that you're making, that time will fix it, that's absolutely correct, that's the way the county approved the policy at the time, so as to minimize the budgetary impact. See, there's no major budgetary impact because we're not saying if a truck driver's supposed to make 40 and there's a lot of them at 20, not everybody's going to be put at 40. That's not how it works here. The way this policy was approved is as those positions become vacant, then it fixes itself. If they're already in a certain salary, they're not going to be taking money away or given money. They're going to remain there until that position becomes vacant, then it starts to fix itself. So it might be 10 years from now that everything falls into place. We won't see the immediate, impact today, and that's why there's not a major budgetary impact. If we did it the other way and plugged in everybody where they're supposed to be, then you'd see some major impact to the county. But that's the way the court approved it back in 2010. So, like I said, my office has been under that. And the reason I came before this court 5 months ago, along with 2 other elected officials, was because we felt, wait a minute, either everybody's going to be on it or not. That's why we were here, and then resulted in the committee and what have you. So here we are again, either trying to seek direction, whether everybody's going to be on it or not. If you want to seek a range or something totally different, then I would suggest getting everybody off and work on that down the road. But a lot of time has been spent on this, so now's the time to decide whether we want to go through with it or not.
I have a question. So salary ranges are already in place, is that correct or no?
To an extent. You want to share that?
Basically, the way we have it structured is there's a salary range between a step 0 and a step 11. It's basically about from step 1 to step 11 is a 35% width. So if you start at 20,000 step 1, step 11 is going to be 35% more than that 20,000. Basically, 3.5% of the base pay is increased in every step. We did have probationary step 0, which was at 95% of the step 1, and that was for the entry-level positions. One of the recommendations that the committee came up with was that we institute a hiring range. Basically, the way it was before, it was a rigid structure. Any vacancy had to be hired at a step 0. 6 months afterward, they would move to a step 1 after they completed their probationary period. The way the committee is recommending that would be done now is that the department heads and the elected officials have discretion as to what pay the individual comes in at. They can start from at step 0 or at step 2. They have those 3 steps as discretionary hiring steps. And again, it would have to be, if you're going to start them at a 2, they do have to have experience. They do have to have added knowledge that they would basically commensurate them starting at a step 2. After that would be done via merit increases, and that's how you would be able to get up to step 11, hopefully within, your 20-year career with the county. If you stay in that same position, hopefully if you do good work within 20 years, you'll be perhaps at a step 11 at that point. So we do have already a range for every position that's in the classification system, ranging from step 0 to step 11, basically just roughly estimating about a 35% width from starting pay to the ending pay.
So I want to make sure I understand this correctly. So basically you hire, it's not only based on experience and knowledge to that position then. Everybody should start at step 0, is that what you're saying?
Currently, everybody starts at step 0. You can hire a custodian and you hire, let's say, an MBA person that has 10 years of experience doing whatever. We're not going to pay them at a step 11 just because that's what they were making in their previous job. They applied for a custodian position, so it starts at step 0. What we're offering now is that they have a little bit of discretion. The departments do have discretion, so if they did have experience, they'd be able to hire at a step 2 maximum. That way we don't start them off already at the beginning of their pay grade. We start them off at the beginning, and then they can work themselves upward as they produce for the county, as they do good work for the county.
You got any extra handouts?
Excuse me?
You got any extra handouts? Or the packet that?
No, sir. We just bought the handouts for the court.
Is that on your website, the handout?
It will be later on this afternoon. It's not on their website right now.
Yolanda.
You have your...
Was the work of the committee, if you see on the left-hand side column, you see current policy as it stands today, and the right-hand side is the proposed policy, the changes that are being proposed. And hiring range is the one you were just talking about right now. That was one that was tweaked a little bit, where it was set at step 0. Now the departments are given the flexibility within 3-step range to hire the initial hiring process.
I guess maybe the direct question should be, for example, in whatever department that we're looking at, you're advertising a position, certain requirements, to make that position productive. So they still should start at step 0 is what you're saying. Different qualifications.
Currently, yes. Currently, they would start at step 0. If it's an administrative assistant 1 that you're looking for, regardless of where they'll be hired throughout the county, they would start at step 0. That's correct. Currently.
Sergio, what's the budgetary impact if the court were to approve?
The way we're looking to implement this, again, to implement the departments that are currently not in there, there would be no budgetary impact. We would be basically fitting them into the classification pay plan table. So if their closest step is a grade 5, step 6, that's where they would be placed in. So there'd be no...
Bottom line, there's no budgetary impact.
That's correct, sir.
Okay.
On the discretionary step, again, we're looking to implement that discretionary step as the departments have funding. If they have a step 4 position and that becomes vacant, then there they would have the discretion to 0 to 2. Those other 2 steps would be able to be allocated to the other positions so that they can now have a step 2 hiring range for those positions as well. So we're looking to implement this all from within the department's budget because of the budgetary constraints that the county is facing at this time.
So bottom line, there's no budgetary impact.
That's correct.
Is that...
This is what's approved.
Correct.
Is that this year or between now and the future?
That would be from now to the future. The only way that there would be a budgetary impact is if court were to authorize merit pay. But again, that's only if funds are available, and that's also at the discretion of the court. And that's something that I think as a committee we've looked at, and we've come to the realization that perhaps this is not something that's going to be done anytime soon. Again, we've been in the system since 2010. It's 2012. We have not implemented merit pay for the vast majority of the departments. On a countywide basis, we have not implemented that. And we're under the realization that that probably might not come for at least another 2 to 3 years again. We did put a policy recommendation in there to where if you have a step 10 position, it becomes vacant, and you hire them again at a step 1, then those lost steps perhaps can be used by the departments to give merit pay within the department. However, we don't have it. That would all, again, be within the budgeted salaries of that department and not an additional fiscal impact to the county.
All right. What about any legal concerns? I know, well, Steve, you haven't been hearing much of the discussion, but if we adopt this step grade plan, will it provide a legal argument, a greater legal argument, so to speak, to anybody who desires to make a claim against the county?
I can foresee certain situations where that could happen.
Such as?
Well, I don't know if we want to go over and educate people.
Well, if we have some concerns, then place it on the.
And I do think we need to hear those concerns, but.
Sure.
I think the main concern and the main, from my understanding, is that if we set up these policies and procedures, which you currently have, and we divert from them, then at that point we would have some legal ramifications. But as long as we stay within the policy and follow the policy to the letter, then I think we might shield ourselves against. We're not totally immune to it, and even under the current structure, I don't believe we're immune to lawsuits as far as from personnel related lawsuits. I think we'll always be subject to those, but I think we can shield ourselves as much as we can by following the policies and procedures and ensuring that we do have adequate controls within this classification plan.
Judge, I'd recommend that Sergio and I get together and go over all the changes in detail, because we have not been privy to the changes.
Well, I'm concerned, Steve, can we take this to executive session? And can you share those concerns?
Well, I'm not, I think, first of all, I think it'd be better if we could meet together, Sergio and I, so I can become familiar with it.
Well, I think if you include Mercedes, she's been working on it, quite a bit.
Well, I have, Judge, excuse me, but I do have a problem.
What's the problem, Commissioner?
The comment that was made that there's potentially some area that could wind up in litigation.
Right.
Okay. I'm not aware of those situations, and I'm expected to vote on something that there's some concern out there.
No, I don't think he's suggesting that we give him time so that he can meet with Sergio, and I'm asking that he include Mercedes into that meeting so that they can go over any legal issues and then come back and report to us.
Yes. If I may say something, Judge, Commissioners, if you look at the way it's worded on the agenda, the action item would first be to implement Phase 3, which is the existing policy, what you all approved back in 2010. Then next would be consideration to the new changes. So those are two different things, if that's the direction you choose to go in.
Let's go on over that.
Judge, I have a legal concern. If you don't include every department in the county, your program is illegal. And it's unfair treatment of employees. If the judges and every department is not in it, every precinct officer, whatever, I think it's unconstitutional that you only force a portion of the employees to be in it and exempt the lion's share of the higher salaries. I don't think it's equally fair. I have a problem in just, being in it because I can't hire sometimes quality lawyers because of the stepping grade limits me as to what I can do with funding. I have to short one position and come and ask for an amendment in order to raise another position, and that is not workable for the legal department.
That's why I asked that question, Mr. Guerrero. It would be fair to all departments, like you just talked about.
Right now, unless everybody joins, Commissioner, and everybody is in it as a team player, it's not going to be fair, and it's not fair right now. I had heard of an employee from a county clerk, left a position there with a county clerk, became a coordinator for one of the courts, and went from $27,000 to $60,000. Well, that person is a fairly new employee as compared to others who have been there for years. It doesn't sit right, doesn't look right, doesn't feel right,
and it's not fair. But that's a discretion you give the judges, see? They gotta be, all of us have to be in it, otherwise none of us should be in it.
We're going to schedule a workshop on this? Or?
Actually, I think you're proposing an action item for us to.
That's correct.
Judge, I propose there is no doubt that we have to move forward. I think that we should entertain the idea of.
And if you look at Phase 3, I'm sorry to interrupt, Commissioner, but Phase 3, the one that we had been waiting on, includes all the courts and the commissioners. Your offices and all the courts.
We were supposed to have a workshop on this, correct?
That's
but
correct.
I understand you were ill.
That's correct.
So
And
I
we
would
can
like
still,
to have-
like I said, I can still follow up. If this is the direction you want to go in, we can follow with the workshop.
I'd
to
like
the
to
proposed
make-
changes to the existing policy.
I'd like to have a workshop.
I'd like to make a motion of approval of 17A, item number, is that 2A?
17A2A.
17A, 2A.
17A2A is discussion and action on the following: approval of implementation of Phase 3 departments into the classification and compensation pay plan.
If I may ask a question, Judge, before you ask for that
Yes,
vote.
go ahead, sir.
What I'm trying to find out here, gentlemen, and ladies in the audience, is we have a lot of employees that have been here for many years, and if I may speak freely with all respect, I don't want to offend anybody, but they're still at the bottom of the totem pole, and that's been a big problem. So is this plan going to change that? Or are people going to have a better opportunity to climb up that ladder and grow the way they should instead of just being put on the back burner?
They would have that opportunity via the merit pay.
Yeah, but when? You know, because I understand that this will not have a budgetary impact. And for example, we do have some departments on step and grade. We have certain individuals in different departments that have certain classifications, but they're not receiving that pay. Is that going to change that? Is this plan going to change it? Without a budgetary impact, I don't see it. So in other words, we're approving something that would only affect new employees but not fix our existing problem.
Commissioner, but that'd be the same respect of fixing the entire, we have to adopt a model that in time will fix itself.
I understand that, Commissioner, and I respect that. But my thing is what are we doing for our present employees with this plan?
For present employees, only the merit pay plan would be what would be able to help the current employees. Again, they're still, that would be the main thing that would help them. They'd now be able to move into higher steps once they're being classified. Departments would be able to authorize merit pay. Once a Commissioner's Court authorizes it, the departments would be able to award merit pay to employees.
Commissioner, I think 17A2B would do that, because then you will be implementing these proposed policy changes. And one of those is a career ladder promotion, where employees are going to be able to move up the ladder, like you were saying. Right, Sergio?
I don't know, there appear to be.
This is why I wanted to have this workshop, so I can fully understand
Are part
this plan.
of the recommended changes to the policies, yes, sir.
There do appear to be some, well, quite a few questions, especially the legal ones.
This is, with all respect, this is why I wanted to have this workshop.
Judge, but I think we had an attorney in our committee, and a lot of these issues were discussed. I was a member of the committee that was elected, and we had, gosh, I don't know how many meetings, and we discussed all of these things, land and legal counsel was there present. And I don't know if there's any other legal issues, because otherwise you would have been able to.
Judge and Commissioners, I think the item 17A2B is the one that we just need a little more clarification on. I don't think it's going to hindrance from us adopting actually 2A on getting everybody on that plan. I think that's probably the best methodical process to follow, is to get everybody on it and then allow the committee to go ahead and refine the concerns that Mercedes may have raised and then get the recommendations back for approval. I think would be the way. So I made the motion for approval of 17A2A.
I'll check.
All right. On 17A, what, sir?
2A.
A2A.
Which is the approval of implementation of Phase 3 departments, which is everybody that's not on it, all the departments.
And what is the effect? How does that impact the step and grade?
It doesn't. It just forces us to abide, those departments that are not on it, to abide by it.
Basically, it's going to include everyone now. Once you implement Phase 3, it's going to include all departments across the county.
But this would mean that we're headed in the direction of step grade.
Yes, sir.
I think there's some more comments to be made. I don't know if you want to entertain them, Judge.
All right, we got some more people wanting to comment. Go ahead, sir.
Judge, I just want to make a comment. Number one, the question of cost has been raised every time this is discussed. There is no cost, additional cost involved in implementing the step and grade. We've implemented 80% of the county already. We're not implementing step and grade. The step and grade has already been implemented. It was approved by court 2 years ago. It's already been implemented. We're not headed in that direction. We are in the step and grade. We have about 20% of the employees that are not yet on the step and grade. There has been some delays, and this is simply the approval is requested to include the additional or the pending 20% that are pending. We are in the step and grade. We have it. It was approved by court. It's simply, do we continue with the departments that are still not there to make it fair? And do we implement the policies that were improved by the committee? I think those are the two questions.
So then the current policy does not include that 20% that you're talking about?
Sir?
So the current policy does not include...
20% of the employees in the county are not under any step and grade. In other words, when they come to court and create a job, they can say, I want to create a clerk 3 and pay him $120,000. Somebody else could come and say, I want to create a clerk 3 and pay him $16,000. There's no rules, there's no compensation for 20% of the employees. There are rules, there is a plan for 80%.
That's why I said my question was that 20% is not abiding by the policy. Is that what you're saying?
20% do not fall under the policies of the step and grade.
Okay. So there isn't a current policy in place.
There is a policy in place, but it has not been applied to 20% of the workforce, which is all the courts and the commissioners' precincts.
There's a plan, and the plan has some policies, and that right now currently applies only to 80% of the employees. The other 20.
Well,
so they're not following the policy.
I know we have a motion and there's a second. I just want to make a comment that in my opinion, there's still too many questions that I feel need to be answered, especially the legal ones. But if we're ready to go.
My questions don't involve 2A. My questions involve 2B.
So we're okay, Judge. Policies. So we can give.
Well, but my question is concerned, should we even go the step grade route? What's the impact to the county? What's the effect? And I just cannot understand why there would be no budgetary impact. And more than anything, the legal arguments that could be made in the event somebody were to challenge the county in some way that we don't need to go into now. But that would be for your evaluation by getting together with different people.
Judge, the reason there be no budgetary impact, because all you're going to do is try to place the employees at any stepping grade where they fit. So that's why there's no increase in the dollar amount.
And Judge, if I can add, and I'm going to ask Sergio if I'm correct, my understanding when we implemented Phase 1 and Phase 2, we did not change any of the employee salaries. And the same thing would be in Phase 3. The current employees don't change their salaries.
All right.
And the system fixes itself after they set it. As years go by and vacant positions, or as positions become vacant, then those salaries will self-correct to the rest of the plan.
Right.
All right, well, I certainly appreciate the work of the committee, but I simply just don't, and it's my problem, not anybody else's, I just don't understand the impact that it will have presently and in the future, especially next year when I know we're anticipating a tight budget issue. But that's why I'm thinking that we need to have that workshop that we weren't able to have so that we can better understand and ask questions.
And absolutely, I agree, Commissioner, Judge, that the workshop should still be, we should still hold the workshop, but that's for the proposed changes. Today, the way the Commissioner made the motion is to adopt everyone,
and just
the
apply
20% with the existing policy, which is what we've been on for 2 years and everybody else has been on for 2 years. Second thing, then, if that's the direction we go in, then we can have a workshop and say, this is what the committee is suggesting to change to existing policy. Then it'll blanket everybody. If you approve that, then we'll have changes.
But they're telling me that the impact on if we vote for it to adopt this this particular item it will have the effect of everybody being on step grade.
It would have the effect of everyone being on a step and grade plan as 79% of the workforce is today.
Which makes sense, and everyone should be on step grade if we can afford it, and I'm still not clear on what the impact is going to be on our budget. Maybe not much this year, since we've already adopted it, but certainly next year.
I really don't foresee any budgetary impact but we could certainly visit and look at it and dice it up and, I mean.
Judge, I think when phase 1 and phase 2 were implemented, there was a minor budgetary impact because you're not able to place everyone at the particular stepping grade. Right, Sergio?
In phase 1, I believe there was I think actually in both phases, we had a slight savings on both of them, because again, the position was budgeted at $38,000, and the person was making $35,000, then we fitted them at that $35,000, so there was a savings on those that were not maxed out. All the other ones, again, we kept their same salary. We just basically put them in the closest step that they had. But a net effect, there was some savings. Again, when we first brought it to Commissioner's Court the first time, before we instituted the closest step implementation scenario, we were putting the individuals to the next step, and there was an impact on that presentation. Court asked us to relook at that. We went back and we placed the employees in their closest step, and at that point, we did not have a budgetary impact. That's what we did for phase 1 and phase 2, and there was no impact.
So if there's already a policy in place, why isn't it being followed?
Currently, the majority of the positions on these departments that are not in the step and grade, those positions have not been assigned a grade. So basically, that's the last thing we need to do is assign a grade. We've already met with basically the precincts. We had several meetings with the precincts. We have I would say virtually about 70% of the positions have already been assigned a grade. There's
I think
about
this is a
30%
good
that
move.
we
We
still
definitely
need
need
to
to
finish.
implement these policies and
To better answer
take
your
a closer
question,
look.
Commissioner, the reason not everybody's following policy is because when it was adopted in phases, rather than it should have just been adopted for everyone. Because it was in phases, we never finished phase 3. That's why not everybody's on it.
My concern is if we vote for it, we're automatically, all of us are in step grade. And how is that going to affect us?
Judge,
Yes, sir.
should we be concerned with 80% being under a particular policy?
Yes, sir, we should.
And legally, that could open the door for.
That's what I'm worried about.
I think that's the biggest
Well,
concern.
if we don't act on it, if we don't put everybody under.
Yeah, we either put everybody on or take everybody off. I mean, we can't have some in and some out. But
Simply
the-
what the motion that Joseph placed on the floor is to implement the step and grade period across the board.
Right, and the issue that I'm concerned about, which is I'm trying to express not very well, but it has to do with the impact that, number one, it'll have on the budget for next year and other years. I mean, our obligations once we adopt it. And the legal arguments that we're going to be granting to any litigant that wants to make a claim against the county.
Judge, I guess I'm the tiebreaker here, right?
No.
It's beginning to look that way.
Like Christmas.
You know what? I think my recommendation is wait for 2 weeks and have the judge and somebody and Steve get together and really look at it.
Okay.
That's the way I see it.
All right, then. Well, we have a motion and a second. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those against, same sign. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We'll have the workshop.
Motion fails, and you're moving to have a workshop?
Yeah.
That's
I'm in favor of what's been done, my respects. I just want to understand it
Yeah.
a little clearer. That's all I want. I'm a firm believer of the step and grade. We need to make sure that our employees are given that opportunity.
I am in favor too, but I mean, we need to have somebody really look at it.
Okay, so just to clarify what just took place, the existing policy that the county has on 79% of the employees will continue, or are we going to take those off?
Arturo, we're going to
No, we're
defer
gonna
for
have a
about 2
workshop.
weeks, and you and I and.
2 weeks?
I would like to
Sergio
sit
and-
down with you all.
Well, I
if
think
possible.
the court, every member of the court.
Yeah.
Again, the existing policy has been in place for 2 years. That's what this court adopted. That's nothing that I created or had anything to do with. That's been in place forever. But that's what you want to discuss? What's been in place for 2 years?
No, we're going to talk about the impact that this action would have had on our,
Okay.
I guess, our future budgets.
Or
But
we're
we'll
not
talk
saying we're
about
not
that.
supporting this program. I would like to better understand it before I cast my vote. That's all I'm saying. I'm in favor of the step and grade. I think that there's a lot of people that have been employed by Hidalgo County for many years that are not getting their due, and that has to change.
So for the time being, then 79% will remain and
Well,
21
for
off.
another 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks.
Another 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure we can make it.
I know,
All right.
Baby steps.
At
Thank
this
you.
time, I'm going to excuse myself. Commissioner, one of you need to take over. I got to attend a meeting representing the county in McAllen.
You want to do it?
What item are we on?
I don't know. 10A maybe?
10A? Okay.
Well, hold on, just for the
Yeah,
record.
Renan was up.
For the record, there will be no action on 17B and C.
Commissioner Palacios, are we having this workshop next week, or so we can decide in 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
Mr. Guajardo? Is he gone?
I would recommend that we have the workshop next week.
Okay.
That way we can bring an action item
Within
the
2
following
weeks?
week.
That's what you want to write, Commissioner Flores, as well?
Yes, but it is.
So we'll schedule the workshop for next week then.
We'll do that for next week, and then we'll have the action item for the
following week.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Next item, 10A, Renan.
Good morning, Commissioners. Item 10, 10A is equipment upgrades for our Fire Marshal's office through our DAR contract. They're just upgrading their handsets. They've got a pretty good offer to upgrade, so I would like approval on 10A as listed on the chart.
Is there a cost? Move for approval?
Second.
There's a motion to approve in a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you.
10B, emergency management. They're requesting the activation of 6 new data cards. Just to explain, they had 6 with another provider. Those have been disengaged, and they are just switching to this new provider. Requesting approval on 10B as listed.
Second.
Well, there's been a motion to approve. There's a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against, same sign. Motion passes.
Finally, 10C, this is what we just call a name change. We're just assigning an existing cell phone from one employee to the next as listed on the table below. 10C.
Approval? Second.
Motion to approve. There's a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against, same sign. Motion passes.
Thank you. Have a good morning.
Next item is Urban County. Ms. Serna.
Sorry. I don't know what time it is, so good morning and good afternoon. The first item on the agenda is a request for the approval to cancel the application for Josefina L. Capetillo at the request of the home staff. The applicant has chosen not to participate in the program. I'm sorry, the applicant passed away, so therefore we're not able to continue with the construction.
Move for approval.
There's a motion to approve, and there's a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against, same sign. Motion passes. Go ahead, Diana.
Item 2 is requesting the exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code 262.024, A4 for professional engineering services.
Move for approval. Second.
There's a motion to approve, there's a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against, same sign. Motion passes.
Continuing, we have a scoring grid for the purposes of ranking by Commissioners Court. 3 firms were evaluated. These firms were Sames Incorporated, SNB Infrastructure, and Hinojosa Engineering. The Sames Incorporated received a grade of 97.34. SNB Infrastructure received a grade of 93, and Hinojosa Engineering received a grade of 93. Would you like to rank them in that order? This is for the city of
What is the
Palmview.
order of the commission?
For approval?
There's a motion to approve is the scoring grid is presented. There's a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against, same sign. Motion passes.
If we're not able to negotiate with the number one, I will bring the other two firms back for drawing. Item B is requesting the authority to negotiate a professional engineering services contract with the number one ranked firm.
There's a motion approved. There's a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against, same sign. Motion passes.
Yes.
Excuse the court for my interruption, but on your previous item, you have two vendors with the exact same score in order to determine 2 and 3.
I just to say, if we're not
She
able
already
to
brought it up.
negotiate with number one, we
Yeah,
will
but
come
I
back with
think
2
you
and
gotta
3 for
break
the
the
drawing.
tie.
Okay,
Get
I'm
number
sorry.
two. I'm sorry?
I would think you would do that now, but
I didn't.
It'd be better.
Well, she can do it now, but.
Yeah, you gotta do it now, because if you're gonna go to number two, then you gotta,
I'm going to what? I'm sorry, I can't hear
you
you.
have to select number two, because there's a tie
Okay.
on the.
We,
the
if
other
you'd
two.
like, Barty will do them, and we'll draw in a little bit, if you'd like.
Have somebody.
I think you
put
need
them
to
on
do it.
paper and then-
I
She's
think you
gonna
need
do
to
that
do
right
it today for public record.
All right,
though.
thank you. The
Next
next item is, if I may continue,
Yes, ma'am.
requesting for Precinct 4, requesting consideration and action to award and enter into a construction contract with Econ Group LLC, being the lowest bidder, meeting all specifications and/or requirements for the Texas Department of Agriculture, TDA contract number 711245, in the amount of $338,607.50. This project is for sewer improvements and rehab single-unit residential at Hillcrest Terrace and Santa Cruz Ranchettes. First-time sewer.
So motion approved. There's a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against, same sign. Motion passes. Go ahead, Jan.
Okay, if I may go back to item B, I have two items.
Have Commissioner Palacios over there.
Blame it on him.
SMB.
Okay, so then you would go with Sam's Engineering being number one, then SMB number two. Is that correct, Commissioner?
Yeah.
That's correct.
And then, what's Engineering number three? Just for the record.
Thank you.
We need a motion on that.
Move for approval on that, right?
Second.
There's a motion to approve, and there's a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against, same sign. Motion passes. Okay.
May I continue?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, item D is a request on behalf of Precinct 1, requesting the approval of amendment number 2 to the existing contract agreement with Guzman and Munoz Engineering Surveying for a Texas Department of Agriculture contract identified as 729055. The amendment is in the amount of $5,500, which reflects additional engineering services conducted as part of an alternate design approved by TDA. The funding shall come from the allocation in the Urban County Program from Precinct 1, CDBG 2009.
Move for approval.
There's a motion to approve, and
There's
there's
a
a
motion.
second. You can take
A
over?
motion.
Okay.
Well,
Go ahead. No, that's fine.
there's a motion, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next item.
Thank you. Item E is a request on behalf of the City of Palmview, requesting requesting the approval of a best and final negotiated contract for professional engineering services with Sames Incorporated in the amount of $13,000, utilizing the funding from 2011
Move to
Urban
approve.
County funds.
Second.
There's a motion, second for approval. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Okay, I believe that was the last of my items. Thank you very much.
Elections.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners. Amanda Valdez for Ivan Ramon Elections Administrator. Discussion and or action including but not limited to elections updates. Just wanted to remind the court and the public that early voting starts next week. We will actually have a mobile location on October 23rd right out here, so during court, anybody who is attending can actually vote here. We are going to be at the courthouse, several other county offices, and so if anybody needs information on the schedules or the times or locations, they can call our office at 318-2570. Thank you.
Thank you. Head Start.
Yes. Item 13A, discussion and approval to declare obsolete the attached list of items and transfer items to the county surplus department for proper disposition, and the list is included in the agenda.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next one pertains to Commissioner Quintanilla, and I don't know if we want to wait for him to come back in. It has to do with approval to appoint one community representative by each member of the Commissioners Court to serve on the Hidalgo County Head Start Program Policy Council for a one-year term, according to 45 CFR Chapter 13, 1304.50, B1-B7, beginning October 2012. He had indicated that he would be naming somebody today, so I don't know.
Let's wait.
We'll just wait for it.
Yeah,
Want to go to the next one then?
please.
Okay. Request approval of application and certificate for payment number 2 in the amount of $80,594 submitted by Alpha Building Corporation, awarded JOC through HCDE Choice Facility Partners, pursuant to the action taken by Commissioners Court on 7/10/12 for proposed roof repairs of the Palm View 3 Head Start Center, and is certified by Project Engineering and Hosa Engineering Incorporated. This is a second and final payment.
There's motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That's it. I guess I can come back if...
We'll come back on
Okay.
other item. Public defenders.
14A.
Judge, Mr. Gonzalez was unable to be here today, but on item 14A, the Public Defender's Office is requesting approval to reimburse the following public defender employees for the purchase of closing for trials for indigent defendants assigned to trials with authority for the County Treasurer's Office to issue payment, and after the Auditor's Office's processing procedures have been completed. These are for employees Francisco Guerra the second, reimbursement amount is $47.59, and Lurin Yvette Pacheco, $24.89.
Move for approval.
Commissioner, I won't be able to process payment for this item.
Well, excuse me, have a motion and a second.
Okay.
Is it it's a claim, ain't it? Not yet.
Can that be processed as a claim, Mr. Professor? Can that be processed as a claim?
No, not, this particular item can only be purchased by the purchasing agent. Otherwise, I won't be able to process payment.
Okay. If we can request no action, and we'll visit with the purchasing agent to see if we can get this resolved.
I withdraw my motion. No action for now?
No action.
No action.
No action. We'll bring this back after
Well,
consulting
withdraw
with the purchasing
your
agent.
motion.
Yeah, I retract my motion.
And the second, Joe?
Yeah.
The motion was withdrawn, so no action.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Let's go back to 13B. Commissioner Quintanilla.
I'm going to wait till next meeting, ma'am, to make that appointment.
Pardon?
I'm going to wait till next meeting to make that
Okay.
appointment.
Okay, thank you.
No action.
Item 15A, right-of-way department, authorization for county judge to execute right-of-way acquisition statement and utility adjustment certification for Mile 2 West Bridge replacement. Text dot CSJ number 0921-02-147.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Commissioners, item 16B is just a title change for Precinct 4 Road Maintenance 1200. Approval of the following personnel actions: to delete slot number 70, Director of Construction, at $48,500, and to create slot number 75, Safety Coordinator, at the same rate. And they approve, number 2 is to approve revised salary schedule.
1 and 2.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Sergio?
Last but not least,
Yours.
Martha Salazar for the Purchasing Department. Nothing to report on item A12, A, B, and C inclusive. Item 3, we're requesting approval to declare the items listed in the exhibit, office furniture and equipment attached herein, as surplus for the purposes of sale through auction in accordance with Local Government Code 263-152A1. And in the event of no bids received, let's take action on the first one, please. On A.
Entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Marty, is there any way we can take Mr. Looney in after this?
Oh, certainly. Yes, next. It's
There's a
going to be the next item.
There's a motion, a second.
It's going to be the next item.
Say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
And item B, I was just asking that if in the event we get no bids from that auction, we can get authority to destroy the property.
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion, second for approval. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
The next item is presentation and recommendation by Gary Looney, Brown & Brown Lone Star Insurance Services, DBA Alamo Insurance Group. They are Hidalgo County's health insurance consultants to exercise the option to renew and extend the final year as permitted under the contract to 28, and as approved by Commissioners Court on December the 7th, 2010, for the third-party administration, individual stop loss and aggregate stop loss for self-funded medical plan, group term life, and accidental death and dismemberment insurance policies. If you have any questions, Mr. Looney is here to present his recommendation.
Marty, the letter that Mr. Looney handed out talks about administrative services and life insurance, but the action is for TPA, stop loss, life insurance, and AD&D, right?
Correct.
For also, okay.
Yes.
That's correct. Commissioners, good news, we went through the renewal process with Blue Cross Blue Shield and the Life Company, and we were able to have a pass on all of the fixed cost changes for this next year. So in 2013, there will not be any need to increase premiums for the county under their fixed cost base or the employees, nor will we have to change any of the benefit structures of the medical health care plan for 2013. Part of the reason that we're doing this renewal in this manner is to maintain our grandfather status under the Affordable Care Act that was passed on March 23rd, 2010, and we are now complying with the requirements to renew with no plan changes at no increase in premium. In the regulations that were passed at that point in time, they did require us to make W-2 reporting for this next year based on the 2012 aggregate asset value of the medical plan for employees. That will show up on the 2012 W-2s. We're working on that process to ease that for the county at this point. We also will be presenting to the employees a summary benefit analysis that's also required by the regulations. So right now we're requesting that allow the county judge, elected official, or appointed official to sign the renewal documents proceeding for the year 2013.
On those W-2s, that's going to be non-taxable, even though it's...
It's not taxable, it's a reportable, accountable
yeah,
number.
A lot of the people are probably going to think they're going to have to pay tax on it.
Correct.
Let them know it's non-taxable.
It's required by the Affordable Care Act as a reporting mechanism, and I'm certain that we'll have to notify all employees that it's not a reportable income in their W-2s.
What are the wishes of the
Still,
board?
we're not getting any increase at all. I mean, we could just stay with the Blue Cross. I mean, that's the way we are.
We're no increase, and there's no benefit changes in the
whatsoever. I mean, that's, what else can we ask for?
Well, the only other thing that may occur, Commissioner, is that every year insuring companies alter or change their formulary under the prescription drug program in an effort to meet with the changes that take place as far as generic medications and branded medications and that movement. So there may be some changes in that formulary. Outside of that, we do not expect any changes.
Your motion for 1 and 2.
Wait, hold on. What is it you recommended?
Recommending renewal with the Blue Cross.
Yeah. So that's my motion then,
You want to include B?
which would be item, Marty?
It would be,
B?
the item would be A, was what you're voting on right now.
Yeah,
B would be then the authority to
yeah, it'd be A
execute the
then.
documents.
I'll second that.
And this is the final year, right, Marty? So next year you
This
have
is
to
the
go
final
through.
option.
Right.
I think we were very fortunate to be able to have that because it resulted in a no,
We
in
have
a no
a
change.
motion
in a
for
net
A and B,
A and
and
B.
a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Sorry.
Opposed, motion carries.
Marty, so just a quick question. So all the packets we have for the cafeteria plan, we're still going through all that? Is that
Oh,
correct?
yes, but that has nothing
That's
to do with this.
nothing to do with this.
No, sir.
Got it.
Separate and apart.
Sorry, I walked in late.
No, no problem. This is
Thank you.
the last year on this option to renew on our group health.
Perfect.
I've given you a little scenario, a
Got it.
synopsis of what's going on.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item.
Yes, sir. Okay, going to item 5A, acceptance and approval to utilize and purchase through the Department of Information Resources, contract 1603, awarded vendor Shortel, authorized reseller Richline Technical Services LLC for the IT department's maintenance and support of the Shortel system that we have now.
Move for approval?
Second.
It moved second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Acceptance and approval of the proposal in the amount of $59,424.73 submitted by that awarded vendor through DIR, Richline Technical Services, for the contract that I described.
Move for approval. Second.
Have a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Item B1, Precinct 1, acceptance and approval of work authorization 3 as submitted by LNG Engineering Laboratory in the amount of $30,406.47 through the requisition as listed for construction materials testing, and that's for the Constable's office building in Precinct 1.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Precinct 2 is acceptance and approval of work authorization number 1, estimated cost $71,275 for provision of engineering services for Precinct 2's geotechnical engineering services for the Tower Road Improvement Project, and that's with Rabbi Kistner.
Move for approval. Second.
It moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
The second item is acceptance and approval to award the best value proposal from job order contractor Herrera and Hunt and their awarded job through the Choice Facilities Partners in the amount of $15,878.55 for the installation of curb and gutter to Rodriguez Street in Lopezville for Precinct 2.
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
On item D, Precinct 3A, acceptance and approval to execute a professional engineering services contract with LNG Engineering for the job-specific purpose of Tom Gill Liberty Road from U.S. Expressway 83 to FM 2221, and is approved for negotiations on September the 18th.
Move for approval. Second.
Been moved second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
DB, 1B for Precinct 3, acceptance and approval of work authorization 1, the estimated cost $567,770.36 for the provision of engineering services required for the engineering, for the preparation of the environmental assessment with TxDOT public involvement and schematic design for the project described in A, Tom Gill Liberty Road.
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Precinct 4, E1A, requesting approval of a professional engineering services agreement with LNG Engineering, DBA LNG Engineering 4, professional services in connection with job-specific project extension of 10th Street, State Highway 107 to FM 1925.
Marty, like I noted earlier, we need to make sure that we know where the initial 40 and the new 52 parcels are located on this project?
Correct, as discussed earlier, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
B is requesting approval of work authorization 1, Phase 1, for $621,824.10 from LNG Consulting Engineering. And this is for preparation of environmental assessment with TxDOT, public involvement, schematic design, right-of-way mapping, comparable utility management for those extensions on 10th Street.
Move to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item C is requesting approval of a professional surveying services agreement with Dos Land Surveying for the surveying services for that project for pardon me, on an as-needed basis for projects located in Precinct 4.
Move to
Move for
approve.
approval.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item D is requesting approval of a professional services agreement with Harvey Hersheen, DBA HLH Appraisal Services for the purposes of review appraisal services on an as-needed basis for projects located in Precinct 4.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next item is acceptance and approval of final construction
Marty, we're going to take a no action right now on that item.
on the one, on item 2?
Yes.
Okay. All right. On F1, constables, approval to purchase four new or newer 2013 Chevrolet Tahoes through county's membership with HGAC, Houston Galveston Area Council of Governments. Awarded vendor is Caldwell Chevrolet, $178,726, which includes the $600 administration fee and delivery.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item G1. Did you have?
I wanted to speak on F1. Ms. McCleary had signed up for that.
Sorry, I didn't see you.
Ma'am?
Go ahead.
F1.
Thank you very much. Ms. McCleary had asked a question or two that she had to leave. On these 4 new vehicles, are there any vehicles being traded in on these transactions?
Not to my knowledge.
No trade-ins?
No, sir.
No, I believe they're all, what?
Okay, then I...
Kind of old already? How old are they?
Probably 2000 and prior. One of them was a Seeds vehicle that the frame was bent. They weren't aware of that until after they took it in for repairs. Frame was bent, it wasn't bolted on correctly, so they had to stop using that vehicle as well. So these are all old vehicles or damaged vehicles that are out of service.
And those old vehicles are going to be auctioned out? Or
Yes, they would be auctioned out at some point.
Yes, they'll be.
And that money will be going back to the general fund?
That goes back to the general fund, yes, sir.
Well, my next question is, if these are older vehicles that have been out of service for some time, why is it necessary to replace them? Is there really an additional workload for these vehicles that are being procured?
No, they're being used at the time, from what I understand, but their maintenance is high, ain't it?
Actually, 2 of those vehicles became unserviceable. So actually, those 2 deputies have been doubling up for the past couple of days. So that's the reason why we needed to get additional vehicles for that. And then the chief deputy's vehicle is the one that also became unserviceable after they took it in for repairs. They have been, and all the deputies have been doing that. They've been trying to repair them as much as possible because they're short of the funds. So we hopefully will be able to get additional vehicles in the next budget cycle for the constables.
This is for a particular constable, precinct? What?
That's what I wanted to ask, if I may, Tito. What precincts are involved? All one precinct?
Yes, Constable Precinct 4, Commissioner.
Fine, then that really answers my last question. I would not ask it. If it's all one precinct, then that commissioner approves of it, and then I have no further questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is mine.
Oops, sorry.
No problem. Okay. We'd already voted on it. Item G1, IT, acceptance and approval of invoices from OCE Canon attached herein in the amount of $214.54 as a lapse occurred when vendor was asked to modify the agreement, and we need authority to pay that.
Move for approval. Second.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is requesting approval of exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code 262-024A7, an item that can only be obtained from one source. I need the exemption first, please.
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item B is approval of a sole source declaration with 3M Cogent Incorporated and authority for the Hidalgo County to purchase the following items as listed on the agenda. For the fingerprint readers that outfit the time clocks through the following requisition, 224707, with said sole designation remaining in effect while we own and utilize the equipment.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item H is for WIC, presentation of the sole responsible vendor, Aguilera Properties, detailed in the tabulation sheet contained herein, submitting the lowest and best bid, meeting all specifications and requirements for the purposes of award and approval of contract for the request for bids, lease of office space, Las Milpas WIC Clinic.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Also for WIC, we're requesting approval of amendment number 1 to lease agreement between Hidalgo County and Miguel L. Barbosa Jr. for the lease of office space in the city of Alton, where the lessee desires to lease additional 900 feet of the real property, resulting in an increase of $810 per month.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I-1 for elections, requesting acceptance and approval of certificate of substantial completion for Hidalgo County's renovation as an additions for elections warehouse from contractor Alpha Building Corporation as submitted and certified by the project architect, Dannenbaum Engineering.
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Requesting approval of payment of application number 5 in the amount of $15,797.98 submitted through Alpha Building Corporation.
Second.
Motion
For the same
second.
project.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Going on to Colonia Access Program for Precinct 3, discussion, consideration, action on a recommendation by project engineer Javier Hinojosa to award to the lowest bidder, meeting all specifications, Valley Paving, in the amount of $66,903.45. And that is for Dude Hill subdivision.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is recommendation by project engineer Javier Hinojosa to award to the lowest bidder, Jimmy Klausner and Sons Construction, in the amount of $392,013.35 for road and drainage construction of Casa de los Vecinos subdivision.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
K1 is for the Sheriff's Department, sole responsible bidder, received for hydro system as detailed in the tabulation sheet, and this is for the purposes of award through and approval of the contract, and this is for water softener system maintenance service.
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
2A is requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code 262-024A, a professional service.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Presentation of the scoring grid for the purposes of ranking of the 3 firms that were graded and evaluated from the pool of professional construction management services, and these were S&B Infrastructure at 97.5, Prodigy at 99.5, and IDEA Group at 93.25. Does the court wish to
approve this
rank them in the order of their scores?
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
C would be authority for purchasing department to negotiate a professional construction management services with the number 1 ranked of Prodigy, and this is for the facilities repair of the roof.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 3, discussion, acceptance, and approval of work authorization 2 with an estimated cost of $2,903.98 for the Sheriff's Substation Construction Project with L&G Engineers Lab to provide construction materials testing.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
That is all I have. Thank you.
Go to open forum. Okay, make out the name Billman.
Good afternoon. My name is Opal Billman. In Hidalgo County, Texas, I have been held in police-enforced false imprisonment for 15 years. According to the World Book Encyclopedia, false imprisonment is any unlawful restraint of a person's freedom of motion. It makes no difference whether the victim is actually locked up in jail or a room or merely restrained by threat or a show of force. False imprisonment is considered an offense both against the victim and against the state. The victim may sue for damages or charge the offender with the crime or both. After 44 years of marriage, in 1996, my husband Joe petitioned the 275th District Court for a divorce. Our community property is 72 acres of land with capital improvements. The court appointed our son to manage our community property and an attorney to inherit our community property. For our divorce settlement, the court divided a non-existent $650,000. Non-existent because we still had to earn it. The court awarded me 41%, or $266,500, and Joe 59%, or $383,500. The $383,500 was never, ever mentioned. The $266,500 has no relevance or connection to the value of the community property owned by Joe and me, because this award does not include the community property. The community property remains owned by Joe and me. If I have $1 and spend it, my dollar is spent. It's used up. The court said my divorce settlement was $266,500 of future income. That's the court spending the $266,500 once. Because $266,500 is being earned as rent over a period of 15 years, the judge said Joe had to pay $266,500 to me. The judge awarded me for my divorce settlement a 15-year promissory note from Joe. The court also designated that as Joe was paying off the promissory note for $266,500, he was purchasing my land. That's the court spending $266,500 twice. Once for my divorce settlement, and again for Joe to make a land purchase. The court gave Joe $266,500 to buy land. In payment of $266,500 to me, Joe is spending my divorce settlement for my land. Joe is buying my land with my money, which is transparent fraud. I appealed this settlement to the 13th Appellate Court. The 13th Appellate Court affirmed the settlement with the disclaimer that any community property owned by Joe and me, not included in the divorce settlement, remains owned equally by Joe and me. And in violation of the Texas state constitution, ruled that I had mental illness. Therefore, the 275th District Court, spending the $266,500 for the third time, court ordered Joe to give the $266,500 to the court-appointed beneficiary, which Joe did. Then Joe died, April 24th, 2003. Although it's the law, the court refuses to dismiss the case. During the court's custody of our community property, deeds to the land have been rewritten. I know this because I purchased altered, tampered, rewritten deeds sold to me as the official records from Deeds and Records Department at the courthouse last week.
Ma'am.
My civil rights are being violated under the 1st, 4th, 5th, 6th, 8th, 13th, 14th Amendments to the Constitution of the United States of America. I stand here a prisoner among free persons, Americans with civil rights. My petition to this committee is for freedom. My freedom.
Ma'am.
Freedom from a defunct divorce
I'm so sorry, but you're out of time,
in
ma'am.
which the only action was not only to keep our community property, but to restrain me for 15 years to hang on to it. Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am. Karina?
Good afternoon, Judge Commissioners. Karina Cardoso with the Public Affairs, and I'm here to announce the last drainage town hall meetings that will be held this week. As you know, we've been having a series of town hall meetings over the last couple of months. The next meeting will be held tomorrow at the San Carlos Community Resource Center. Commissioner Joseph, I know you will be joining us for that one. At 6 p.m., we invite the public from the San Carlos and Edinburgh area to join us tomorrow night. And the final one will be held on Monday, October 22nd at 6 p.m. here at the University of Texas Pan American ITT building. And secondly, Commissioners, I would like to introduce a new employee in our office. Ms. Jacqueline Barber joined us last week. She is our new multimedia coordinator, and we're very happy to have her on board, and I wanted to introduce her. She will be assisting our office with all of the county's public outreach activities. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Thank you, Karina. We do have an executive session item, so we'll go into closed session. Commissioners Court may go into closed session pursuant Chapter 551, Texas Government Code Section 551071 and 551072 to discuss the following. That's a real estate acquisition, claim or potential litigation, claim of Mario Herrera, claim of Victor Perez. Do I have a motion to go into executive session? So moved. There's a motion, there's a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those against, same sign. Motion passes. Now 12:44. We'll go into executive session. 114, we'll go ahead and go into open session. Balde?
Thank you, Commissioner. Under open session, item 21A, real estate acquisition, there is no action. 21B, pending and/or potential litigation, there is no action. Item 21C, claim of Mario Herrera. Commissioners, I would like settlement authority to make an offer in the amount of $4,431.46.
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion for approval and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All against, same sign. Motion passes.
Item 21D, claim of Victor Perez. Commissioners, I would like settlement authority to make an offer in the amount of $5,087.08.
Move for approval.
There's a motion to approve and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All against, same sign. Motion passes.
That is all I have today, Commissioner.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion to adjourn. There's a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
This means now adjourned.